Good evening, welcome. It is time for another Fighting Words with myself, Logansama, and F-Word. We recap the world of Street Fighter V every single week here on Capcom Fighters as the Capcom Pro Tour hurtles forward. We now have another name added to that list. Only 16 more can be qualified for the Capcom Cup. It is Mandrake. He joins Phenom.
It's Mandrake. For me, it's Mandrake.
And the Gatekeeper Idol.
I know
And what's the adjective that I need to use about this tournament?
The N8, the one we just saw?
Controversial.
Controversial, emotional.
Exciting. It was hype. It was definitely hype.
Oh, it was hype. There was some proper slugfest slopping.
We've had a lot to talk about these two tournaments already. I feel like this NA East one,
unpredictable as well, right?
It is going to be the most controversial tournament of the whole season.
Agreed.
You have so much going on here. We had the champion enter in. That was already the talking point.
Yeah, I've seen the Twitter conversations all about that, yeah.
We had the various problems with connections on the East Coast. We had players DQing themselves from brackets. Yep. Players that weren't even qualified as well, by the way, that were still able to play and potentially win. And one of the favourites not even making top 8. Two of the favourites, I guess. It was crazy. It was crazy. So
everything you need in a dramatic tournament kind of unfolded here. And I'll tell you what, it's harsh because I'm a spectator these days and I used to compete at the highest level and I feel for these guys. But from the outside looking in, man, was that fun. I'm sorry, guys. Everyone loves a bit of drama. That was entertaining. I was thoroughly entertained from start to finish. The matches, there were some gourmet matches in there. There were some crazy results. There was stress. There was drama. It was just, it's everything you need. They should make a reality TV show on it.
I can't see us having more to talk about on any other event
on
the tour. This
we could go past the time limit today.
It had so much going on, and we're going to try and get through as much of it as possible. Let's start with the qualification for top 8. As I said, you know, Knuckle-Doo going to losers early on, losing against Kashasik, the Kage player. Again, he said he had connection issues, difficult to deal with. Then he had to play, Do had to play against Smug in a qualification, not even for a qualification spot, in fact, because Smug ended up not making it into top 8 either. And I think
Smug played that.
Some of the Japanese players were picking Smug to win the whole thing as well. And in the end, we had CJ Truth only getting through in losers. We had, obviously, Metro M was the big talking point of the whole tournament, and we're going to talk more about Metro M a bit later on in the show.
Burkish as well had a really good run.
Burkish was a player, we had some great new names come through, which was really exciting. Burkish was one that was picked out by a lot of people.
Yeah, he always does well in the online rank, in the online.
Yeah, I think he finished
CPTs,
second last year.
Yeah, exactly. Online. You mentioned
that. And again, 2 Urians in a top 8.
2 Urians in the top 8.
Woo. A Urian in Capcom Cup.
Well, my argument is falling on deaf ears right now.
Hoji, of course, speaking of your arguments.
Oh, man, highlight of the tournament for me. And extremely satisfied with that anticipation because that was what I was most excited to see, but extremely sad at the same time because you learn so much about Cody watching this tournament. He is a bit of a double-edged sword in that he fights really well in some matches, and in others he looks completely helpless. And
then, of course, we got down to a final 4, and that's when the real controversy started. You had the reigning champ, who's not playing for anything really. There's no money on the line for him. He's already qualified. There's no qualification spot for him. He's the reigning champ. He
playing Laura exclusively for the whole tournament as well.
Poison.
Sorry, Poison. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. Poison exclusively for the whole tournament.
So for him, he was entering just to make sure that he got some practice with his secondary character in conditions that everyone else is playing at their absolute best, at the pinnacle. And that's one of the things we kind of discussed with Idom, right? He doesn't have, as champion, he doesn't have access to that competition. Every other year there's been a Capcom Cup champion. They're not playing for qualification. They know they're already in. But they can travel around the world and play against the best players in serious competitive environments and make sure that their sword is sharp.
And there's money on the line as well, usually, right?
There is money on the line, of course. That
amount.
is one of the things. But for those players at that level, they just want to make sure that they're performing at the highest level. Now, you don't have access to that this year. You only have these 2 events in your region. It's region locked. So there's a lot of debate as to whether IDOM should be allowed to play or not. And I feel it would be very unfair to forbid him from having access to that competition. And of course, as viewers at home, we want to see the champ. We want to see these players.
Look, I hate to say I told you so, but I do like being right, okay? And I did say last time we mentioned this, because we had a nice discussion about this, right? Worth talking about. It's a controversial topic, and the community split on it, right? But I did say you get a particular type of experience when you do these things, when there's not enough on the line for a person. So do I want to see IDOM competing with the best in the world? Absolutely. I don't want to wait until Capcom Cup to see IDOM. Absolutely let him enter. I want to see him against the best. I want to see how everyone does against him. Do I want to see not necessarily the most optimal IDOM? Hell no. But to be fair, he was optimal all the way.
He was playing
out of his mind.
Absolute best with Poison.
Exactly.
He was taking it very seriously.
The issue we have is from a spectator perspective. If you're in this environment and you don't approach it the way IDOM did, because IDOM, to be honest, IDOM played fantastic and he played it like he had everything on the line. But there are players who, like I said, when Punk played against Infectious, for the spectator, it's a letdown. It's not that great to see when they're not being optimal. So this is the risk that carries with them being allowed to enter.
And then of course you have the fact that IDOM DQ'd himself. He refused to play against Metro M. Metro M, from what I can gather from speaking to players on the East Coast, is a player that has been barred from entering some online tournaments on the East Coast due to the instability of his connection, because he did the connection test. He had over 200 over 200 down and 8 up, which is far beyond what you need.
Yeah, that's pretty decent.
But that's not what the connection is based on.
That's not
the stability
issue. Exactly.
of it. Packet loss and ping have far greater effects on it, and players know that they are not going to get an enjoyable competitive experience because they've played him before. And that was the issue. Do I think it's right to DQ? No, just play it out. Just play it out for the integrity of the competition.
Yeah.
You know?
Try. I mean, if you're getting teleport command grabbed for, I don't know what happened with those command grabs, right? Because it was 4 command grabs before.
I mean, he'd stopped playing by then. I think he'd stopped playing.
You know, but he's quick rising, so he's not stopped playing. He's actually getting up and then running into the dash command grab again. So you're right. Try and play it out for the integrity of the competition. For the fact that it's already controversial that you're being allowed to play, try and play it out, I'd say. But at the same time, that must have been infuriating. And the rage quit came. I'm pretty sure there might have been a pad on the floor in pieces, because the rage quit came so suddenly. It was like, you know. So I don't know, but kudos to IDOM. He played great. Unfortunate ending.
Well, we're going to talk a lot more about the incident, playing against Metro M, the players rage quitting the tournament. But I really want to focus more on the positives as we start out the show, because it's a great story. DR Mandrake qualifying. Ooh. He's had a really good run over the last couple of years. He only started entering CPTs in 2018.
Yeah, you told me that earlier. I couldn't believe it. I was labeling him one of the most improved players in the world, which still kind of counts. But the magnitude of that, I was kind of...
You didn't realise from what point. Right?
Exactly. I had no idea.
We've got an interview with him later on, and you'll hear his story and his journey and his competitive journey. We'll get into that afterwards. But you know, for him to make it as a guy that's moved from the Dominican Republic to the States in 2017 and fallen in love with the FGC and really moved a lot of things around in his life to be able to compete at a high level, and he's made a lot of sacrifices to be able to travel to these events.
And he originates from that phenomenal scene that you got to witness firsthand. I've only seen them at other events, but I'm a huge fan of that DR scene.
I love that community. It's an amazing community. Let's take a look at the grand finals anyway, because it was Mandrake against Metro M. There was a reset. So let's look at some of the high points in the grand finals of this tournament as Mandrake qualifies for the Capcom Cup. He will be there alongside Phenom and, of course, alongside IDOM. Let's take a look at these.
As we get to our game one again, Metro M is coming from losers, so he has to defeat Mandrake in a whole first of 3 before actually getting his chance at the Capcom Cup spot. German suplex. All back to back with him. Oh, and then he baits out the EX headbutt. That's going to be the first round. Metro M on the board.
Mid-air right in the gut.
Yeah.
My spleen. Oh, mix-up city. That could have been an EX command grab too. Metro M with this life deficit. Oh, no anti-airs present for Mandrake.
Oh, and he tried to get the roundhouse anti-air there, but nothing doing. The EX wall dive going to be enough to seal the first game for Metro M.
Little by little, yeah. Metro doesn't even have to be overzealous about it. Just poking away, waiting for Mandrake to kind of commit to the wrong options here. Sky High Claw, once again, nobody's blocking that. And when you decide to block, the command grab comes out. The online special.
Backdash in the corner, wake up, actually avoids the throw, cancels it into the V-trigger to keep the slide safe. Oh, raw headbutt there. And then the critical R coming through. That should be enough damage here for Metro M 2-0 in the first set of our grand finals. This is going to be, yeah, look at the close quarters combat, right? So I get the CQ going, commandos perhaps, but no, gets stuffed by the medium kick into activation. Let's see what's the next mix going to be. Oh! Combo, yes. There you go. That's one of the setups that he actually gets a full combo off. Probably would have killed afterwards. But Metro M surviving for now. He's going to activate his V-trigger as well. Oh, the meaty slice with the claw. Switch sides. Oh, the cross up. He's just presenting this pace that's so hard to get track of. Mandrake now stunned. He is fully loaded on resources, though, so if he gets a chance to play, he can make the most of it. Just raw activation. I like that.
Oh, just raw!
Visibility. Go through the mirror. Oh, he has super on deck. Oh, doesn't even spend it. EX tackle. The scrambles end up going in Mandrake's favor. Fears the hand, the chop.
Yo, my man was finessing. He went in and out of the range and got the throw. And then V reversal. Or just V reversal, excuse me.
Yeah, indeed. From long distance and the forward throw to finish it off. So that is our first set in our grand finals here at NA East 1. Mandrake has been reset 3-1 by Metro M.
Big counter.
That's so nice.
Oh, almost close to stun. Mandrake in full force, unfazed by what Metro's been doing. To safety. So long as there's a mirror in stock for Mandrake, there's a chance.
Oh, again using that projectile invulnerability. He's been super good at using those two moves. Oh, the sandwich is back. Oh my goodness.
Oh no.
Drax would be proud. Oh yes, there's the bump you're looking for off the crouch medium punch, and then the double stand jab as well to keep it nice and tight.
Drake does have the life lead, but he doesn't even have trigger available. He's not even gonna need it at this point, I feel like. No mirrors needed at all. Just nice and easy. The jump over into the low short.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised he didn't actually activate the second one. Usually when he dashes up like that and applies pressure, he does. However, it looks like Metro M spinning that EX bar goes back to take the corner for himself as well, but this is going to give Mandrake another opportunity here and another mirror to play with.
He should have finished his plate while he had the chance. Ain't no time for leftovers. They took it away. Plus frames. Get over here, baby. Look at that tournament point. Mandrake.
Looking in control, goes with the EX tackle. Doesn't catch a switch. Wow, great jump toward the EX knees.
Is he gonna spend it? No critical art. That gonna let him to an advantageous position. Is this gonna be it?
I believe it is. No. Hits them scaling too much. Does block the overhead, but he cancels into another mirror. Does not teach him on that range.
No way.
Metro M. Will be enough damage. It will. Oh, and again, force it.
Dang! Command grab. He's living.
Yeah, Metro knew he was going to wake up with the Aegis right there. Beautiful attempt and a beautiful buffer. That was dope. Liking into the V-trigger.
Just trying to jump out of space. Oh, damn.
Classic Urian right there. Crouch Fierce was ready for it. He also...
Woo, out of there. Not even trying to risk it. He's sandwich averse. Snap kick.
Carbon take.
No anti-air. And Mandrake solidifies his spot into Capcom Cup.
So, the reset 3-1. Mandrake didn't make it the whole way through in winners, but he won the run back.
He'll take that,
the
though,
reset 3-0. So it was a really big turnaround, and
yeah, the momentum just totally shifted, didn't it?
His strategies
I love
in
this
the
strategy.
second set were a little bit different.
Strategy,
buffering that charge. Buffering that down charge.
Very entertaining approach to the game. And, I'd like to think there's still some respect between him and Metro M. If it was a strategic play to get under Metro M's skin or to throw him off, I think it was genius. I mean, they're both quite young players to this kind of setting, but to employ a strategy like that in what's probably your biggest grand final, right, as a professional player, it's pretty ballsy. I was quite impressed to see it. I was thoroughly entertained, and a great turnaround as well from losing the first set 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his first tournament win on the Pro Tour. He won Furiatica last year.
Yeah, you're right. That was a ranking event, right?
Yeah, ranking event. He won that last year. He finished third at the Blink ranking event in DR.
Yeah, he had a good run
well,
there. But this one qualifies him for the Capcom Cup, right? That's what's so big about it. But still very impressive.
It kind of shows the effectiveness of Urien in this online environment.
Oh, absolutely.
Where,
yeah.
If you're experienced with the character and you have that plan B, plan C, if you're trying to play a careful, spaced, approach of footsies and neutral, you can do that with Urien. And it's hard because he hasn't got the best neutral tools, but what he does have when he has the resources to do so are great tools to get round neutral. And once he's in on you, he has some really good auto spacing traps.
Pressure strings, they're so good.
Which Mandrake, for me, having played quite a few Uriens, I know I'm not of the highest level, but I really felt it the most playing Mandrake. The auto spacings, to completely stop you from trying to take your turn back, which allows him to start stealing stuff on you.
So good, yeah. He
really
gets so much
good
reward for it as well, Urien. When you make that mistake and you end up in one of those scenarios, you get so much reward. The rounds can be over so quickly. Yeah, you're right. It's so effective. I think for me as well, the way Mandrake usually when you lose a set like that, you slow it down, right? But he took this strategy to kind of like overwhelm Metro M as well as troll him, which was really interesting for me because, Metro M is also quite disrespectful and kind of raggo in his play style, right? And he kind of like fought fire with fire, which was kind of Mandrake. If you look at Mandrake's run actually for this tournament, it was kind of his approach for the whole tournament, and it really impressed me.
I mean,
even against Idom as well. Like,
Idom, he ran through 3-0. El Chicote 3-0. He beat Rob TV convincingly as well.
Burkish was the closest, right? And that was
Burkish.
They were just beating the crap out of each other. it was just like...
As I said, watching it, I think even I had CTE from all the headbutts that were coming out.
Crazy.
It was a lot of headbutts flying about. A lot of mirrors were deployed. But yeah, it was very much... I think that's a real important point to make about just the meta game of Street Fighter V. You need to just grab hold of the pace and dictate the pace.
Absolutely.
Because if you want to play a slow reactive game, there's so many characters in this game that can just swarm.
This is it. I've not seen... I mean, maybe Dogura, right, in his peak. I've not really seen a very effective, slow-paced Urien. Very effective as in, we've seen how fast it plays in Europe, right? That's probably the most effective I've seen. But when it comes to that highest level, that Mandrake approach is the real scary one. It's the same approach as Ryusei and Nemo.
Absolutely. I mean, throw back to a lot of the sets that I've paid close attention to between Problem X and Nemo and Ryusei, and it's all... They're throwing so much stuff at him that he just can't deal with it all. And it was very evident there. Vega doesn't have great tools to deal with pressure. Once you're in on him, he has to kind of make guesses, has to spend resources to get out of a lot of stuff. And, Mandrake, in that last set, 3-0, clean as a whistle, got the job done, and he is there in Capcom Cup.
I have to apologise, by the way. My apologies to Mandrake, right? Because just as much as I like being right, I also hate being wrong. I did say after Mandrake beat Idom, you asked me, and I said, I don't think anyone in this winner side is going to be the one to qualify. I still think it could be Hoji or one of those guys, right? And then Mandrake just went and obliterated guys, right? So my apologies to you, my man. You played insane. That was ridiculous. I'm really keen and excited to see how he does now versus the elite. I know we've got a while to wait, but he's improved so much. How much has he improved? Can he hang with those guys?
I'm really keen to show you guys what he had to say because we did an interview with Mandrake. You can check this out right now, mixed in some of his highlight moments from the tournament as well. So let's speak to the man himself, Mandrake. You can find out a lot more about him as a player, his journey through the FGC and the competitive scene. his journey as a sponsored player, and of course his thoughts on Urian and NA East 1 as an event. Check this out right now.
Hey, this is Yori Bueno, best known as DR Mandrake, top Street Fighter V player, a Urian player from the US. Recently qualified for Capcom Cup. Yes. It's pretty much like a dream come true, to be honest, to be in Capcom Cup now. I know that it's like every player that competes in Street Fighter V wants that spot, wants to be in that big stage in Capcom Cup, so it's pretty much like a dream come true. Oh, I have been playing competitively since 2018. My first tournament for Street Fighter V was Evo 2017, but I had like 1 week playing the game, so I didn't know much. So obviously I drowned in pools. But like I will say that I started playing for real in 2018. Yes, I guess you could say that from 97 to from drowning in pools to 97. But you know, I worked my way through. Like it's a process. I like worked the steps. You know, it's like climbing a ladder. You cannot run before you walk. So it took me a while to get here. Pretty much, it's been a ride. How I managed to get to this level, I'll say that it took me a while. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a sacrifice. Like back then, before I started competing, I used to like go out a lot, like go to parties, go to clubs, like travel. And at that moment, I realized that if I wanted to become a better player, I had to make some sacrifices. Like I will have to stop doing that and focus, because there was a lot of people that had more free time than me, because I had a full-time job, and like practice was limited. So and my practice came from the online gameplay. So I was kind of like born and raised in the online streets, you know. I guess you could say I've always been a competitive player. I guess you could say that about all the Dominican players that we have. We are very passionate about competing. We are very competitive. And like we all want to be the best, like really bad, and I guess that helped me a lot, that competitive drive. I moved to the US because I was waiting for my paperwork. I've been waiting for quite a while. Back then I waited 8 years to come here to the US because my mother was living here at the time, and my sister too. The only person that was living there and back in the day was my father, but I was not living with him. I lived by myself 8 years before I came here to the US, so it was just a matter of time before I came here. No, I'm actually, what I do for a job is I'm an interpreter. I'm a medical interpreter, medical interpretation. I used to work like a full-time for a company, and then like a year ago, I switched to being an independent contractor, so I work from home. So that pretty much gave me all that free time, all the time off last year. So that's why I traveled so much last year. What it's been like for me here in the US, it's been different from what I was used to back in the DR. It took me a while since things are really different here in the US, and I don't know a lot of people, so also my friends are over there in the DR, so it took me a while to make some adjustments, pretty much. Well, it has benefited me being here in the US. In my Street Fighter career, I would say that is the fact that when I got here to the US, I managed to go to my first international tournament. That was CEO 2017. I went there just as a spectator, pretty much. I didn't play at that time, so I got to see what it was like to be able to be a competitor here in the US. And I saw that, wow, this is awesome. Like there's a lot of people playing every type of games here. Like the competition is like non-stop competition, so that made me like pursue that career. Like, okay, I can actually do this here. Like I could pursue this career. Well, that experience like going from the DR to traveling overseas, like to compete, is like a dream come true as well. Because back then, when I was living in the DR, and there was a guy that had like the Evo like recordings and DVDs back then. That was like the only way we could actually see high level gameplay. And then being able to travel to Japan or overseas and experience that was like mind blowing to me. Like I couldn't believe myself that I was actually doing this, like trying to make a living out of it. You know, it's like a dream come true, to be honest. I mean, I was really close to qualifying last year. It's just that it was really unfortunate that I got to level up my gameplay at the very end of the year, and so that kind of like made things hard for a little bit for me. And at the end of the year, like I didn't have any more travels left for my sponsor to sponsor me to travel more, so I missed out on any regionals and a couple more tournaments. So I pretty much missed my chance. I was able to travel to LCQ thanks to Knuckle Dude that sponsored me to travel there. But you know, LCQ is a really hard tournament to win. So yeah, it's not the same for every player, every sponsor player, especially like players that are not that well known, I guess you could say, or have not accomplished that much yet. So it's pretty much everything is based on a strategy. Like, okay, if there's a lot of people going to that tournament, there's another tournament this same weekend, I have better chances on this tournament. You know what I mean? So it's pretty much you have to create a strategy if you want to make it work. Look, that's pretty much what I did last year. Like at the very end, like it was really it was gonna be difficult for me to qualify for any regionals. So I pretty much focused on Latin America at the very end and international tournaments like premieres. But that's pretty much it. Like you have to create a strategy to try to get those points per CPT, since like those big name players like Problem X, Pong, or Taquito, they can pick and choose any tournament. So we players that were not that big names, like you have to like pick and choose wisely where you want to go.
Okay.
We'll get away with that one. And EX is going to combo off of it. Not quite enough damage to put him away. Oh, another EX headbutt from Mandrake.
He backdashed.
No, neither of these players are scared. I think that's a characteristic of Urian players, right? There are no fear in their hearts. Now both players not wanting to make any silly mistakes, right? This isn't about being scared. This is about being careful. Nice. Beautiful charged fireball.
No, I always use Urian. Like before, when Street Fighter V came out, I used to play C Viper at 4. And when Street Fighter V came out, I said that if I didn't find a character that was fun to me for me to play, I was not going to play the game. So I pretty much waited until Urian came out, so I started playing Urian. So I have only played Urian since then. I haven't touched any other character. Like, I don't even know the commands of other characters.
For an EX tackle, there's one EX tackle. It's time for Burkish, gets the counter hit combo as well. Gonna take this man to the floor. Oh, we got neutral jumps, gonna get clipped by that. Nice pick up. Mandrake.
Yeah, I dabbled with G a little bit, but you know, he has kind of pretty much the same bad matchup as Urian, like Cammy and maybe Guile could be a little bit rough. No, but not anymore. But I just decided to focus on Urian, and you know, the hard matchups could be winnable. I discovered that last year that with the Urian and the first to two, you have a chance. It could be a bad matchup, but you still have a chance if you're really good. How I feel about Urian in Season 5? Well, to be honest, I think he's still the same character. He's been the same character for a while now. It's just his biggest buff this season was that the top tiers were nerfed. So, like, matchups like Rashid and Akuma are, like, more playable now, are actually winnable. And the fact that he got minor buffs, like on the V-Skill 2, which is a very powerful V-Skill, you know, that gave him a little bit of a push up toward the top tier list. But he's still the same character. He has the frame data. He has the same setups, you know. I think a lot of people are just overreacting right now because he's still the same character, to be honest, and he still has the same bad matchups. Kami's still a bad matchup. Guile is a bad matchup. He is definitely strong, but you have to put in the work. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna. It's not like Abigail season 3 where you're just gonna pick Urian and you're gonna start winning every tournament or do good. It's not. It's not gonna work like that.
But knees. Definitely been Burgish's that mix-up of choice.
EX headbutt, big punish, huge counter conversion, and he still has mirror left over.
Oh!
What is going on?
Urian mirrors. Let's go. Mandrake staying alive, sending it to a final round.
The work that I put into finding cheap stuff with Urian, it's actually quite a lot. When I started playing Urian, and I was thinking to myself, wow, this is a really fun character. Like, it's not just like a shimmy throw kind of base character. Like, you can actually get creative with this character, and that's what really made me like fall in love with the character and commit to the character. So it took a while to find all those cheap setups. Like, you have to spend many hours in training mode, finding not only what's cheap but what's optimal with the Urian. And when I started playing, like Nemo and Dogora were playing Urian at the time, so they had the basic setups out there, so that gave us like a little bit of an edge on finding new stuff. And we do have a communication between the Urians and the US. Like, we have a Twitter chat group, and we discuss a lot of things like matchup things and what setups, new setups that we find and stuff like that. We do a lot. Well, the hardest matchups that I played in the tournament was Burkish, I think. Burkish was a really hard matchup. I had to face really good players. There was a Colleen player that was Sack in the Box, I think is his name. And there was a Rashid player that almost took me out. He took it to last game, last round. That was a very close matchup. Then I had to play Rob TB, which it was kind of free, I'm not gonna lie. And then Burkish. Burkish was the mirror is always a hard matchup for me. I do not consider myself as good in the mirror matchup, but I managed to pull through and I made it to top 8.
Again, tackle to get the corner. No neutral jump pays off. V-trigger now active.
Oh, beautiful conversion!
Throws it! Oh my god!
Like, I never complain about item being in the tournament and gatekeeping, because I know what it's like. Like, back in the days, like last year and the year before that, I was like watching Tokido go to these tournaments, being already qualified with a lot of points in the CPT. Like, there was no need for him to be there, and I know the pump gate kept him item a couple times as well, so it didn't bother me at all, especially when he said that he was only going to play Poison for practice. Like, I know that it's a very difficult time for people to play. Like, we don't have offline tournaments and offline practice, so that's pretty much the only practice that he had right now to enter a high-level tournament like the regional qualifier. So I pretty much understood that, and like, it was fine by me. And having to face items Poison, I went to his CFN before I got into that match, and I watched his match against Prophet, which is another US Urian, which is really good. And I kind of saw like the strategy that he was using. Like, he used to use the whip to trade off the fireballs and stuff like that, so I kind of knew what he was looking for throughout the match. And I don't think that it's an easy matchup for Urian. It could be really hard because Urian has a difficult time dealing with zoners, and actually Poison is really good this season too. She has a lot of damage. She can deal with fireballs that well. She can zone him out as well. So, but as soon as I knew that he was gonna pick Poison, I knew that I could actually take him out easily, because in Furiatica, I also beat Justin 1 3-0 against his Poison, so I kind of knew the matchup. So I didn't have a problem facing Item. My biggest concern in the tournament was actually Knuckledo, and he got eliminated early. So as soon as I saw that and Item playing Poison, I knew that I had a chance to win.
Yeah.
Oh, I called it! A solid punch to the dome indeed. The jump in lands, and Mandrake now officially sends IDOM into the loser's bracket.
You know, if you don't know the matchup, you're gonna lose, especially against zoners, because there's a lot of unions that rely a lot on V-Trigger, and you know, it could be easy to win raw people with a V-Trigger union. But if the opponent knows what they're doing, like they have a good defense, like if you watch my set against Item, like he pretty much blocked all my V-Triggers activation perfectly, except for like one time. So it could be really frustrating to fight zoners with the Union. For the rest of the year, I'm gonna focus now on like my recovery, like you know, my health issues, and I'm gonna try to step my game up with the YouTube and content creation, maybe a little bit of more streaming and stuff like that. So, and just relax and chill. So I'm gonna just watch from the sidelines the bloodbath that is going to happen now.
Any sort of command grab, right? Oh, it doesn't matter. Free flight miles now. Ooh, not that good.
Oh my goodness. Still anybody's game here. V-reversal for the stunner. Oh, wakes up with the EX headbutt again. No fear being shown. Meaty tries for the V-reversal once more. This time it's blocked. Mirror is still on deck for Mandrake. And of course, the EX attack will cancel into it. Of course.
Yo, he's gonna dash forward. He's like, you're not gonna move forward. All right. Oh, the quarrel punch from that far.
I think you should definitely take advantage of that opportunity. It's the only thing that we have right now to play in those tournaments, like high-level tournaments. I'm the type of player that when there's something on the line or it's like a tournament, like high-stakes tournaments, I play better. Like I could run sets, casual sets, battle lines with a player, but playing in a tournament, like I feel that I play much better. So like it's better to compete in a tournament and just really try. That's way better practice overall than just not competing at all or just practicing by yourself. If I could enter, I will definitely will. You know, I have to gatekeep.
Alright, starting to get the CQ going, Commandos perhaps, but no, gets stuffed by the medium kick into activation. Let's see what's the next mix gonna be.
Oh!
Combo, yes. There you go. That's one of the setups that he actually gets a full combo off of the back throw into the mirror, right? So.
Snap kick.
Carbon take.
No anti-air, and Mandrake solidifies his spot into Capcom Cup with that headbutt taking away the throw.
Welcome back, and again,
What a
congratulations
story.
to Mandrake. He is going to be there at Capcom Cup, fighting for the glory of the Dominican Republic and the USA.
And the US, right? He's got both now. That's a great story, man. Fascinating. I didn't know hardly any of that stuff about him. So
yeah, he's a really nice guy. I've only spoken to him, you know, in passing at events before. I didn't know much about his story. I just assumed he's one of those guys that have been playing for a long time and just slowly built up his. But yeah, my first tournament I entered was Evo 2018, and I drowned in pools. Next year he went there and was 97th, which is crazy. In the same year that he won a ranking event, he finished 41st on the Pro Tour standings, so it wasn't even that far away from qualifying, to be honest with you. And now he has qualified, so it's a great story, and definitely one of the highlights, one of the positives of the weekend. But unfortunately, there was a lot of controversy for the weekend. There was a lot of debate and discussion afterwards. A lot of players talking about some of the decisions that were made by both IDOM entering in the first place, because that was a controversy, but IDOM disqualifying himself in top 4, and then El Chicote.
El Chicote was a surprise for me.
Which to me is really confusing. I can kind of understand IDOM's decision that this set's not going to be enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it. I feel he should have played it out. for the integrity and the respect of the event. But I can see where he's coming from.
Well, what does he lose, right? By not putting himself through that frustration.
You know,
I agree.
It's one laggy set.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Principally, I agree he should have played it out.
The one that I don't understand is El Chicote, because
he beat Metro M just like a few games earlier as well.
He'd played and beat him 3-2 in the top half of the bracket previously. Sure, it might have been a bad connection when they were playing.
Maybe a better connection the first
time. But you
time.
showed that you were able to play it out. You're not in Capcom Cup yet. There's still something to play for. It's like
have you been in Capcom Cup before?
I can't understand the decision in choosing to DQ yourself from the tournament whilst the set is still open, whilst there's a possibility that you could still qualify.
Listen, Logan, I'm inclined to disagree with you.
I don't want to judge the guy, and we're not going to be able to give him the right to kind of defend his decision. Hopefully he'll speak on the subject on his social media, but at Taunt Button, by the way, is his thing.
He mentioned a few things, like, you needed to see it from my perspective and how bad it was. But from when you've beaten the guy once already, maybe that connection is going to settle itself. I'll tell you now, right? You talk about things on the line. I remember sitting. And this is me showing my pathetic my pathetic self. But the reason I agree with you is you talk about things on the line, pride and so forth and so on. I remember sitting down working the whole evening to get to like Ultimate Grandmaster in ranked. I just about got there. Decided I'd play a few more matches like an idiot. Ended up playing a laggy claw, and I don't know why. Claws tend to be quite laggy, right? Right bolt strike here and there. A little bit of a convenient lag I'm finding. So I lose that game. This guy's like the lowest of the diamonds, so I lose like 150 something points. I should not rematch this guy. I should just accept that I'm no longer Ultimate Grand, go to bed, or maybe play some casuals with my homies.
Even if you beat him, you're not getting back
Exactly,
up.
I'm not getting the points back. I'm not getting anywhere near enough. I hit rematch, right? And then I won, and then I lost the third match, so I was 300 down. But that's me, right? That's just as a competitive person, even though I'm not very good at the game, that's just me, right? And for El Chacoto with that much on the line, and it's hard to judge because you can't see how bad it was from his perspective, but with that much on the line, a chance to qualify for Capcom Cup.
But the chance is still there.
Right?
The
connection might steady itself a bit as it goes on. We've seen it happen in sets. But he made that decision, and you know what? Fair play to him. I don't agree with the decision, but he stood by it, and who am I to judge, right?
Well, let's talk about Metro M, because I feel, there's a lot of criticism on him. He just wants to play and take part in the tournament, and he was allowed to enter. He has been barred from NLBC a couple of times because of his connection. I was told that, because of the instability of his connection. So it's a hard one because, again, in the same way with IDOM, if the rules allow you to enter, you're going to want to play.
Yeah, of course. You just want to play your game.
Just want to play. Yeah, we're in the era of esports now and professionals and sponsored players and money on the line. But more than anything, the players love to play. No one is putting all of this time into playing Street Fighter V just for the money. Because if that was the case, mate, you would be knocking it on the head, the old day job. You'd be up mashing buttons all the time, flying out there, using those honed skills that you had. The money's not there. The stability of that money's not there. So they're doing it for the love of the game. And I feel bad for Metro M because he's getting a lot of criticism out there.
You've got to remember as well that when it comes to lag, right, and we've seen this a million times. Remember that Angry Bird versus, I can't remember who it was the other week. And
the other Zeku player.
Yeah. And I was like, Assume. I was like, man, this set is juicy. This is so sick. And then Angry Bird tweeted like, yo, that set was ridiculous. I couldn't see or do anything, right? We don't know that. But also, it's the same.
Another example of that, by the way, is when we were talking to Phenom. He's like, the confirms. How's he confirming in this connection? He's like,
and then he told you. I was just guessing, bro.
I just thought they were going to walk backwards and guess.
I just thought he'd stand up at that time, so I just come in.
Yeah.
That's my Phenom. No, but seriously, Metro M doesn't necessarily have the same experience you're having. So it's kind of harsh to give him that criticism. Look, there's all these jokes about lag switches and all that stuff, man. If anyone's actually doing that, it's going to impact them on their side, right? He's got the kind of connection where he's probably getting a really sound, smooth game. How many times have you played someone and occasionally, like, I'll play Hurricane and it feels completely fine, and like 1 in 10 times he'll be like, yo, you're lagging, bro. And I'm like, am I?
That was fine for me.
It felt good. Like, you weren't reacting to my dashes. You weren't ready, bro. No, you just were. Sometimes it's one-sided, so it's difficult to judge to be harsh on Metro M. Let him. He wants to play. You got.
I mean, I don't want to dive into the the netcode discussion, because we know, as it stands right now, there are a lot of games that do not have flawless netcode, and there are some games that have very good netcode.
Yep.
And there's been some community efforts recently in the Melee scene, Smash Melee, where they've gone in and fixed it themselves and completely built up a new netcode, and they're able to play through emulation. You can't do that in a Pro Tour, and there's lots of discussions to be had about putting resources in as a developer to try and rebuild the netcode so it works for everybody. Yes, there was that community fix that was going around that made the PC work really well.
Yeah.
But it was almost unplayable between PlayStation and would I like to get better netcode? Absolutely.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
100%.
Bring it
Would
on.
love better netcode. I would love to hold everybody account to get better netcode, but we can only play with what we have. You and me don't work for Capcom. We're not representatives of Capcom. We are independent broadcasters talking about Street Fighter 5.
I'll tell you the question we have to ask that concludes it all for me, Logan, right? And you guys can take this how you may, but for me, in my opinion, and not everyone's going to agree, the question you have to ask in this current scenario, if we just come back off the back of a pandemic, and I hope everyone's doing well, right? Not to mention all the other global catastrophes that are going on right now, we suddenly have competitive Street Fighter. We suddenly have it. Now, we've had 2 events. The first one went down pretty well. There was some lag complaints, but it went down pretty smooth.
I mean, that
right?
was regional as well.
Exactly.
Was the issue there more so than anything.
And it still went down pretty well. So well done, Capcom there. The second one, there's been some controversy, right? Would I rather have nothing than the controversial weekend I just had? From a spectator perspective, hell no. I want to see all this. I'm loving it. This is brilliant, right? But as a player, of course, it's a different experience. And I empathize with you guys. It's a decision you guys have to make. But I would say, logically speaking, this is a unique opportunity. It's a unique setting. Let's make the most of what we have. Let's get involved and let's
As
play.
Smug said himself, there will be lag. There will be lag. You know what you signed up for. And he said that before the weekend. So
Say no more.
it is what it is. We're doing the best that we can with what we have. I'm so happy that there is a Pro Tour. So happy that we are getting to see these fine players around the world.
Exactly.
And we move. Mandrake's there in Capcom Cup.
Congratulations, Mandrake, man. Fantastic run from him.
Absolutely.
There were some other things in the tournament just worth quickly picking up on that I wanted to touch because they were just so good that I just can't not mention them. Favorite moments for me, right? Smug getting absolutely bopped by Shine as G, switching to Boxer, and completely obliterating. Like Shine could not breathe.
Do you know what that reminded me of?
Tell me.
Smug did exactly the same thing against Fujimura.
Yes,
SCR.
he did. He did.
Exactly the same thing. Well, he didn't crush counter him with Roundhouse 20 times, but it was the similar situation.
And he didn't have V-Skill 2 back then as well. And I think he got him at E-League as well, the first set. I think he lost the second set. I know it might have been another Ibuki, but still, yeah, I've seen him do that before. Really interesting because Boxer, again, we had Brian F there, we had Smug whipping out the Boxer as well. He's definitely come up as, and we didn't speak about him as one of the biggest winners because he isn't necessarily a big winner this season, right? He's always been a solid character, but I feel like he's coming into his own a bit.
I mean, you've got guys like Shoyu Sengan winning tournaments now. Obviously, Boxer must be massively improved.
Nerf needed, guys.
Shout out to Sengan. Big up you. Love all every time.
Big one.
Yeah, it's fun to see Boxer doing well as well. I enjoy Boxer doing well. He's fun as a character.
Yeah, he's a great
mad
character
explosive. I mean, I'm glad we're not in the era of Season 2 turnaround punch Boxer. But it's definitely entertaining. What else you got for us in your list of
man,
gems?
just I've actually got here. So all the other ones I've got like sentences. The other one is just Hoagie. I really thoroughly enjoyed like every single match he played until he got Adam in what looked like a very uphill match. But the way he approached the Kage match, the Guile match, like
the Sagat match.
The Sagat match was just a blow up.
He played that really highlighted how much of a boon that V-Skill 2 is for him because he found it really difficult to deal with zoners. If he didn't have bar, it was really difficult for him to deal with zoners because you can't always get that EX fireball out.
No, you can't. No.
So.
I'm really impressed with him. I was fascinated to see him play. I think if the stars align, this is a guy that could definitely win a ranking event. Probably not a premier because you're going to have those matches that you can't avoid. But in a ranking, you can maybe avoid one or two of those uphill matches. Or he could put some time and effort into finding cover. Because what I learned this weekend is that Cody's an amazing character, but arguably just edging into that top 10 or just outside of it. But he's got some very uphill matchups, like Sim and Poison, and we saw how difficult Idol made that Poison match for him. So yeah, great play from him.
Any other points?
I guess I'd probably highlight Do just because to have had what happened to him so early in the tournament, you guys didn't see, but obviously he lost to Chaka 6. I'm having serious trouble with that name.
I think it's Kashasik.
Kashasik, yeah.
It's like cache, the thing you clear on your browser. Well, obviously you have to clear on your browser. Cache
what?
And then XIK, so Kashasik. I think that's it.
Kashasik, okay, cool. So Kashasik sending Do to losers, and then Do really making a pretty significant run to try and get himself back into the event, but not enough in the end. And the final one, my guy, the young guy, CJ Truth, man, seriously, great run. We called it, didn't we? We said CJ's in there. We hope he makes it as far as possible. Couldn't do it in the end. Had to play against an IDOM that was just too good on the day and didn't have that Poison experience, I don't think, as well. But a great highlight from him.
And then was eliminated by Metro M.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
He didn't look too comfortable against Claw as well. Not to make excuses. Metro M's a fantastic player, but he was making some decisions against Claw that kind of told me, like, how much high-level Claw exposure do you have? Because that was kind of like, that was an elementary choice. And he looked so mature in his other matches and the way he approached them. But there was some elementary choices that he made there against Claw that made me wonder, is that one he needs to go back and study? In any case, still a great run from him.
Well, let's round out this segment on NA East 1, which has been such a controversial, exciting talking point of the tour already. And let's talk to the man of the moment, the other man of the moment, because we spoke to Mandrake. Let's speak to Metro M. And
let's have it.
Let's hear from the Claw player himself about what he has to say about this weekend's events.
Yeah, my name is Metro M. Real name Ivan Mesa. But yeah, I go by Metro M in the FGC. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I play Vega. History on offline events? Yeah, I do a lot of my locals. I went like every week, every Thursday. To Philly a few times, then the North, mostly the East Coast stuff. Never been to Evo, never been to Capcom Cup, never been to like any of the really farther places. Online CPT, I didn't join any online. Recently, we just did the NLBC online, the Reddit online, but yeah, it's my first CPT online event. That is actually a rumor that I was banned from NLBC. I can elaborate. I was DQ'd. I can't remember if I was forced DQ'd or I DQ'd myself. I know I DQ'd myself a few times, but I can't remember if I was forced DQ'd maybe once. I did have real connection issues during that time. This was actually in April. I remember April exactly because I remember when I fixed the issue. I actually reached out to my chat lobby with all my buddies from our scene. Like, hey guys, I figured out what the issue was, and it was something very simple. It was like a loose cable, my router. It was like I had to like twist it like fully. Yeah, everything was perfectly fine for that. I did have real issues back then. People were for right to be mad, but I was never banned.
Hard knockdown, frame kill.
Ooh, the V skill 2 into the V trigger activation. I see you.
Still had some issues with people from kind of like further away in New York. There was a few players that I would have some laggy matches with. Extreme lag, like playable, but you could definitely tell and feel like, the real thing. So I played Uncle Do and Dual Kevin, the same place, Florida. I think they're roommates. And that was okay. It wasn't the best, of course, but it was okay. I played Dual Kevin a few times, and I think grand finals, and it was playable. It was fine. There was no complaints from my side or his. So
Was ready for the jump out. So smart. No, he dropped it.
We'll hold. Yes, command throw. Azuna drop. That's gonna switch sides as well. Oh,
And the
goes-
stun. He's gonna do another one. Oh, if he had EX, he would have set him up for a really, really cool wall dive and some meaty claws. Dang! He just yells at him, just bap him. Wow! Just come on, man.
everything was okay. Everything was okay. There was only one match that was really questionable. That was the CJ Truth match. The match kind of felt like that was the match where I could say, yeah, there's lag here. On mines, everything seemed pretty cool. I would maybe up something or maybe an input felt kind of off. Nothing too extreme where it made me like, yo, this online experience is the worst thing I've ever experienced.
Attempt there. He ended up eating the jump in and then Item immediately going with the flip kick. But EX Commando is going to start something off with him. Roundhouse as well. Oh, right back into it. That's going to put him back towards the corner as well. Oh,
Do it again.
God, with the Azuna drop. Now you're one away from stun. Oh, and he does it again. Don't think I won't do it again. Oh, spectating has been halted. What do you mean? What do you mean?
I actually don't know how I feel about it. At first I was kind of confused. At first I didn't even know it. At first I was just like, he must be coming back. But he just, I don't know, just rage quit out of nowhere. But it was very confusing at the time. Right now I really don't know how to feel about it because I don't know exactly what he was experiencing. It wasn't really specified what he experienced compared to maybe some other players. It was just him saying that it was too laggy to play. Just the way it ended, the fashion it ended in with the 3 command grabs done, cuts off. It was all really weird to me. All kind of weird to me. If he wasn't qualified, don't think he would have done that. Don't think he would. He would have played it through. And it was only one match, it wasn't I played or anything like that. It was just one round, really. I think it was one round. I just said, yeah, I'm done. I'm not doing this. So quick. It was such a fast decision. It was a quick decision to make in the first round.
A good amount of damage following behind it. No meter.
So very meaty right there, and yeah, just a very safe blockchain sequence at that point. As he gets
Yo,
back.
that was slick. Metro at the last second moved under the jump from Chakotay. Anti-aired him with the stand short. I think Chakotay jumped over with a jump light kick to kind of get like a tick throw setup into either a normal, into a guessing situation, right? Yo, Metro just deterred all of that by spacing himself correctly and using that standing light kick. Very beautifully done. That was so good. So good.
Yeah, his spacing is definitely super well done. It is a 2-0 for Metro M at this point, but Chakotay just left the room, so I'm not sure if he's just calling the last match or not. But we'll get whatever just happened to you guys as soon as we know.
Not like this, Rinch. Not again. Don't leave me.
So like when Chakotay went Tay, I doubt. That one was a little more hurtful than I don't think. Because kind of like a plan on how to come back, how to like beat him. I did beat him 2-0. And when he left, it was like, it kind of felt like it was just weird. Like, I don't know what kind of lag, again, I don't know what kind of lag he was experiencing. He says he couldn't see me. So it was even more confused. When Idom left, I was just, it was just like no way moment. I was like, no way, no way, you can't be serious right now. That was pretty much my reaction. Especially after the two matches. And I feel like if Tay, like if he won those matches, of course he would have obviously kept going, right? So, yeah, it was very confusing.
Wild ride on a bumpy road indeed, for sure. Mandrake striking first blood, getting that low medium punch conversion. The sit down with the roundhouse, I like that.
I love the roundhouse, man. It's so good. Done by Mandrake. Oh, buffers? Buffers? Yeah.
Yes.
Trying to get him to do something.
I like this version of Mandrake. a lot more active on the movement.
Yeah, so and when Mandrake was doing that, I definitely felt disrespected. It was like, I get it, like, I get what you're saying. So it kind of just didn't make me want to play. When I went in already, I kind of, but my heart really wasn't in it. I was just adding like, insult to injury. And like, basically sent a message like, hey, you lagged your way to get to me. I'm here to tell you that. Some people say he wasn't doing that. Some people told me he was buffering. I don't know. He was just buffering his moves. But I was seeing it. Yeah, I was seeing it. He was actually sending a message. And it was it kind of got to me when he did that.
Using the V-skill initially and then V-reversal. Or just V-reversal, excuse me.
Yeah, indeed. From long distance and the forward throw to finish it off. So that is our first set in our grand finals here at NA East 1. Mandrake has been reset 3-1 by Metro M. So again, this is all going now to 0-0. Both players are essentially in losers bracket, and we're going to start the set all over once again.
We might just see another Vega going into Capcom Cup range.
Yeah, so the response has been kind of everywhere. Response has been more supportive. Yeah, I think I've been more support. Messages from people that even know who I am. So people that even hate me online or just as a player in general, like just hit me up saying like, hey man, don't worry about any of this. It's not really your fault. Yada yada. Yeah, a lot of support from a lot of different people. But then you got some people, obviously, Tay and Idom have like huge fan bases, have a lot of viewers when they stream. So of course you got a lot of people on their side taking their side and things like that. So I got a few hate messages like that on my Twitter, but that's pretty much it. I skipped Monday, which was our Reddit tournament. Didn't feel comfortable joining that. The NLBC tournament that's coming up. I'm not joining that either. The CPT though, that's coming up in August for the East Coast. I'm questioning it. I am gonna look back into my own, internet and things like that, my own connection. That for me personally, I think I have a pretty decent connection. I was thinking about even getting a PC because I'm not that tech savvy, but people say PC in terms of connections. It all depends on a couple. I'm gonna do the CPT in August. Yeah, I do think there should be more resources for players in terms of setting them up for success online. It's we're playing online tournaments, like this is the real deal. But like it's a real tournament. So yeah, you should definitely provide us with some information on how to have the best experience possible, especially since that's all we have right now. So I didn't even think about that, to be honest, but now that I think about it right now, it would have been amazing from the jump. And like, hey, this is how it's going to be for the rest of the year. This is what you'll need to have the best experience possible. Because of course, you have casual players that are just playing online, but I'm sure Capcom knows, or other people know that there are serious players out there that enter these tournaments, and they'll want to have the best connection possible. So that would be great if there was a resource or information. And I definitely want to play online. I want to compete in these online tournaments. I feel like this is an opportunity to play a lot of people that I normally don't get to. And it's, even though it's online, it's still like experience. A lot of people say, it's just online, it's just ranked. There's that saying, but it's kind of like all we got right now. So people are trying when there's online tournaments. So yeah, I definitely want to play online. Definitely want to join the CPT. But if I go online one day and then someone calls me out for being laggy or something like that, it's gonna make it really uncomfortable for me to on those tournaments, because they see my name in that bracket, they're automatically gonna be like, hey, I'm not trying to play Metro M. He's known as this laggy play, yada yada. So of course I have to get my stuff situated and play a few ranked matches, set up some battle lounges, if everything's okay.
Right then, it is time to move on and continue. It is Fighting Words. Each and every week, we are speaking all about the world of Street Fighter 5 right here on Capcom Fighters, myself, Logansama, and F-Word. Every week, we pick a subject as well, and we ask some of our guest interviewees their opinions and thoughts. Obviously, last week, it was the biggest winners this season who got blessed the most by the patch gods. You saw that last week.
That was fun.
This week, obviously, we know it has been announced there is a season 5. We will be getting 5 new characters this season. We have no idea what they're going to be.
Oh, wait, my excitement just turned into turmoil there because I thought to myself the characters that it could be.
Yeah. Well, we asked some of the players involved in the Southeast Asia CPT this weekend alongside Mandrake and Metro M which characters they wanted to see added to Street Fighter 5. And one that they didn't want to see.
I like that.
I do hope for some Gan or Oro, like some blind old man character. Like, I don't know. I just think characters that are doesn't have eyes and an O looks really cool. Like some master. I definitely will want to play a character like this. I mean, all he needs is a good V-trigger, and we can negate the rest of it. I mean, in Street Fighter 5, we all know how important V-trigger is. If your V-trigger is good, you know, right from the day one of the game, your tier list will never be low. So that V-trigger really means a lot. If you have a good V-trigger, people just cannot write you off. Like, you're at least mid-high already, you know? Yeah. You could Olga kick, activate like G into V trigger, and you command grab into some mix up. Yeah, something like this, you know? Yep.
It's definitely gonna be Sea Viper. Like, that was the character that I had the most fun playing in a Street Fighter game. I used to play a little bit of Third Strike, and I used to play Urian. And Street Fighter 4 was all about Sea Viper and Dudley. Any one of those characters will be really fun to have in this version of the game. I think she'll be really good, to be honest, since we don't have like focus attack to deal with her burning kick. So she actually might be really cheap if they adapt her to this game. Give her a command grab too.
Sure, if they can get Fei Long in there, oh my god, I'd be pretty excited. Yeah, that was my second favorite character growing up. I pick my characters based on who my favorite characters are, and Fei Long is definitely my second, so I'll definitely use Fei Long if they put it. Street Fighter 2, just as a kid, and I wasn't playing competitive in Street Fighter 4, but I did use him as well. Street Fighter 4 for fun. So I don't know. I've heard a few things of people. I heard people saying he would be broken if he was in this game, because I've heard a few things. Yeah, so I don't know. I really don't know how he would be in this game. I can see him being kind of messed up, but it would be really cool to see.
The reason why I want to play Fei Long is because Bruce Lee style I really like it the most. I like this character, that's all. The design, very hard to describe what I like, but just that I like the character.
The character I would like to see to make a comeback is maybe Yun, because I actually main Yun in Street Fighter 4. I think it's interesting to have another dive kick character in Street Fighter 5. We already have many mid-air maneuver character that you can maneuver around, like Seth and Rashid. So I think it will make the game more interesting.
I would be excited to see firstly Oro from Third Strike, and then probably secondly I would like to see Makoto, although probably that's not what a lot of people want to see because that's probably going to be the return of like Haitani's Makoto. It's going to bring hype. Definitely players are going to pick her up, they're going to rob you, but that's going to be fun, you know. I probably want to see Rose as well. Yeah, but that's about the 3 characters that I really want to see join the roster.
Okay, so back in Street Fighter 4, I played Juri, Seth, Evil Ryu, and Viper. So in Street Fighter 5, if we consider Kage to be like Evil Ryu, and we have Juri and Seth, so I would like to see Viper in the game. Because Street Fighter 5 is a very fast-paced, offense-oriented game, so most of the time I feel that in this game, the person who seizes the initiative first, usually this initiative extends throughout the match until you have the V trigger stuff, then yeah, then that depends. Yeah, based on how Viper played in Street Fighter 4, I would really like to see that in Street Fighter 5 as well. That fast-paced action and rush down. Yeah, that would be nice.
I'm really scared to see Elena, to be honest, not because the way Elena is too good or too bad. You know, I just think Elena brings a lot of negativity. She happens to be good. She's just a character. During the Street Fighter 4, I'm an old Naya. You know, I'm not old Naya, but I went through this Street Fighter 4 phase where I think that Elena brings a lot of negativity when it comes to the gameplay and people's judgment of it. So if she happens to be good or have some stupid buttons, you know, and it's just gonna cause a lot of rage and stuff, and I think it's not a good sign, you know, because you want the characters that people want. You don't really want a character that is good and brings a lot of negative attention.
So those are some of the characters that the players want to see. Me and F-Word
and don't want to see.
Yeah. I'm terrified of Elena. There's some characters that I'm terrified of being added in this game engine.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm not scared of Elena because of the game engine. I just have like PTSD of Elena.
She represents a very dark age of Street Fighter. She does. I'm sorry, she does. Do you remember who was it that was giving us that stick? Was Filipino man was like busting our heads because we were being quite negative of Elena when we were commentating. We were just telling the truth, to be honest. Like, you know, that character and what Street Fighter became with her. When
Jep.
When Infiltration versus Gamer B, like Capcom Cup, I think it was, like.
Oh, everyone just had an Elena counter.
Then she was coming out of nowhere. Poor Phenom has become the beast he is today because of that hideous character and what she did to him.
Didn't make it in 2015, but he made Capcom Cup every year after
a vendetta against the character after that. That's not a dig at Filipino. We know I've got nothing but love for you, but
there's a few other characters that I'm terrified of. You know, we'll get onto the ones that I do want to see next, but I just want to get this out of the way. I'm really scared of good dive kick characters because in Street Fighter 4 you had focus attack, you had an invincible backdash, and you had crouch tech option select, which kind of, if you had a good jab, then you could kind of just crouch tech option select against Rufus and jab him out of the instant dive kick.
What kind of dive kick are you talking about? You're talking about legitimate dive kick? Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't do that.
I like to think they wouldn't.
Oh, it's true. I didn't think they were going to nerf DJ either. Capcom, seriously.
I'd like to think they wouldn't put an instant dive kick that's plus on block in there, but you never know.
They wouldn't do that. The game engine's too.
And what, Yun with a dive kick, an invincible reversal and a command grab? I'm all right.
If Yun makes it into the game, he'll be pretty limited in those regards.
I'm all right.
He'll have the other stuff, but I don't think he'll have dive kick.
Another character that I'm terrified of adding to the game is Fei Long. Because again, his tool set, incredibly good. DP, 3-frame, command grab, again. And then also, clicks you with Wreckers, you're immediately in the corner. So a character that can just poke you away.
Well, just look at it this way. Urien, in some matchups, wins the footsie war when he has EX bar because he can react. Bison too.
Yeah.
They can react.
Oh my
EX,
God.
And EX scissor.
Single-digit EX
right?
Wrecker. No,
imagine Wrecker with no EX. You're doing a move that's that fast. They'd have to really tone him down to put him in this game because it'll be a bit OD. But
I need a drink just to calm myself down.
But having said that, just because fundamentally the way Fei Long plays so clean, I'm such a fan of his play. And he's a classic, right? He's one of the classic characters. I actually would love to see Fei Long in the game. As much as it would be hard to balance him, I'd actually quite like to see him in the game. I think he'd be a great addition.
I know he's quite popular with a few people. Because of the happy memories they had of playing Fei Long for so long.
Oh, what, fake cross up into land and then command grab.
Real skill. Great.
I blocked it. Oh, it's a command grab. Oh, God, I'm dead.
But characters that we do want to see. Who do you want to see specifically?
Well, I've got quite niche requirements here, you know.
Okay.
Other than Spider-Man and Wolverine, which would be great, right? In Street Fighter, I just think that crossover would be fantastic. No, I'm joking, obviously, not Street Fighter only. I actually would love to see, and I've said this on Twitter a million times, and I know there's a lot of people there who agree with me. And there's some legalities that Capcom would have to get over to make it a reality. This is me just fantasizing, but I'd love to see Kairi in a new edition. I just think he'd be a fantastic character. He's so cool. He's so original. He's got to be the slickest Shoto in Street Fighter history, even though he's not a part of the official series. He's part of the EX series. I'd like to see Kairi in the game.
I mean, you can currently play him in a different game.
Yes, you can, but I want to see Kairi in Street Fighter, man. You know what I'm saying? I want to see Kairi in this kind of 2D/3D environment, going toe-to-toe with man like Ryu and Ken again. That's what I want to see.
Okay.
That'd be gassed. And actually, I'm going to make it even worse. I'm going to say another one. I'd love to see Hakuto as well. who's another EX character that would be great in this game.
You basically grew up on EX then.
No, I grew up on Marvel and Street Fighter, but there's some good things about those EX characters apart from the broken 100% combos, man. There's some pretty cool character designs that I'd love to see. Never going to happen, but we're talking fictionally, right? We're being imaginative.
Do you have any realistic characters that you would like to see?
I mean, you asked me this question something like 6 or 7 years ago, maybe longer, and I was like, Ibuki, and boom, there she came straight away in Street Fighter 4. So I'm going to say this, and I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy about this, but the other two characters that I personally would like to see, and I think it could break the game a little bit because they're very hard to balance, are Oro and Makoto.
Okay.
I think Makoto would be extremely fun.
Oro's a very popular one. Brandon mentioned Makoto as well, which is ironic because he's an Akuma player, and I feel like, Makoto in Street Fighter 5, two characters.
That's
again,
kind of like that dive kick character you're talking about, by the way.
Yeah, two characters that I would be also very scared of in Street Fighter 5 would be Makoto and Abel. Because they can talk about hit you once and then guess twice and you're dead.
You can't put Abel in the game. You can't.
I mean, even going back to as Brandon, who's an Akuma player, going back to Third Strike, and you get touched by Makoto with bar. GG's. Thanks for playing. Put another 100 yen in that
safe
arcade.
command grab. I mean, those days are long gone, right? They didn't even do that to Aaron 4, right? So.
I've also got nasty flashbacks of V Ryu in Street Fighter 4 as well. Option selecting absolutely everything.
Absolute beast.
Yeah.
So many sick highlights. Makoto would be hype. I think she'd upset a lot of people, including me. I'd probably lose a few sticks.
Oro's very popular though in terms
of
I think
Oro's popular, and also Oro is long overweighted, right? He's this guy who his story is like, yo, this guy's stronger than Akuma. He fights with one arm and still busts your head, and when he releases the other arm, his story's so cool and he's so unique.
I mean, that's
right?
his V trigger written down there, isn't it?
There you go, two arms, V trigger, right, dude? 80% damage with a jab or whatever it might be. He's a fascinating character. Of course, we were blessed in Europe to have exposure to the best Oro in Europe in Zack for years, and we saw how he evolved that character in Third Strike and the depth of that character. There's so many cool things you could do with him in Street Fighter 5 with the V gauge, the V skill. I think he'd be an amazing character if they got it right. So I'd love to see Oro as one.
I'm just going to be really boring and obvious. I just want Dudley. Can I have Dudley? Can I have Dudley?
You want Dudley so you can drop combos when your opponent's stunned and you've won the round and you just choke every time.
I do that with Ken anyway, so I don't need Dudley to do that.
Okay, look, let's see how fair you are as a guy when you describe, because you often give me harsh feedback when I describe what I want in a character. Yeah. Dudley in the game, how many frames is his overhead and what is it on block?
I would like Dudley with an 18 frame overhead that is only -2 on block.
Okay, what can it link into on here?
Standing roundhouse.
Oh, get the hell out! This guy's serious.
Standing roundhouse into EX machine gun blow.
And it's safe.
Yeah, of course. And if I hit it meaty, it can be +1. I think that should be fair, right? That should be fair.
Just please, Lord, no.
He's got a Street Fighter 5 jet upper anyway. His DP is not invincible unless he uses bar. So I'm used to that. That's fine.
That doesn't really exist in this game, that kind of high-low mix-up, apart from maybe Laura, where you're getting high-load, and then you end up with a fierce off the back of the overhead. No.
Into the corner, into guess again.
Thank heaven you're not in charge.
Can I get I want to get Rose throw mix-ups. I've not had the pleasure of doing any of that.
Cody's got that, and you're not getting it. That's
just
Cody's
give me the Rose.
It's got to be a V-trigger or something,
infinite
right?
roses, obviously.
Infinite roses.
Not that I'll need infinite, because if I hit you with one combo in V-trigger, then you're going to die anyway, so it's fine. Because you're in the corner.
You know what would be funny? I'd love to. Can we clip this moment, please? Please. If Dudley makes it into the game, this guy stays with Ken. That's what I see happening, right?
Really?
Yeah.
No, I'd just like overheading people.
Yeah, but you do that with Ken, right?
Yeah, but Dudley would have a better one.
You assume that. Well, Dudley would be fun to have in the game, but you'd have to be careful how you balance him.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't let this guy take any responsibility
I'd
for the
be
balancing
fair.
of Dudley
I'd be fair.
in the game.
Dudley was kind of good in Cross Tekken as well. He hit like a truck, but it was
brilliant
really
Cross
difficult
Tekken.
for him to open you up. He could do overhead into crouch medium punch though, which was good.
Yeah, I mean, that target combo system made a few characters a bit OD with the high-low mix-up.
Yeah. Who else would I like in the game? Like,
Yeah,
really enjoy?
you've only said Dudley so far. Is there anyone
I
else?
mean,
that
I
you
can't
think
really get past that. I'm happy with that. You give me Dudley, I don't care. Anything's good. Who would I really like to see in the game that we haven't got? Yeah, I think Oro, I'd enjoy.
Would you mentioned the Yun and Yang twins? Like you'd hate to see them.
Yeah, I'm scared of them.
So, but if they had like negative dive kicks, would they be interesting at all?
I'm not like super excited. Do you know what? If you put Yun in the game and they found a way for a dive kick character with a DP and a command grab to not be automatically top tier, the custom ability, the expressiveness of Ganejin in this game, I think would be awesome.
That'd be amazing, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Look at what they do with Manat's
make his
V-trigger.
V-trigger Ganejin, and you could put Yang in and make his V-trigger Sobayenu, or however you pronounce it.
The rapid hits.
Yeah, or whatever his thing is.
Oh, I mentioned Filipino man earlier, right?
Rose, yeah.
What about Rose?
Yeah. Rose is mad boring.
Is she?
Street Fighter 4 Rose is mad boring. I mean, you could have like Alpha 2 Rose, I guess.
That's a good shout. Alpha 2 Rose was way more interesting.
I mean, they could put Sagat in the game. That'd be nice.
While we're talking about Alpha, I just realised what he said. That's a good point.
Yeah,
the king is truly dead. I mean, geez.
Yeah, we saw Zaf.
We saw Zaffarino pretty
switching
much.
out to Seth.
I was going to say one more. Guy. I know Big Bird would love that as well. Yeah. Although, just like you, I do think Guy would come out, would be a decent character, and he'd just go back to Rashid because he's already picked.
You honestly think I wouldn't play Dudley?
I think you'd try.
Yeah.
I'd... But you're telling yourself that you're going to have an overhead that links into a fierce, right?
He's definitely going to have an overhead that links into something, and that's all I need.
Yeah, he's going to have an overhead that links into a light that doesn't link to a fierce,
that's
right?
Fine, bruv.
And I think that's not going to be enough for you. You're done after that.
Yeah.
Done out here.
It might link into fierce like in the corner, though.
Maybe.
Look, I think anything that adds something that's more expressive into the game, I'm down for. So if they can find a way to make the twins not ridiculously powerful, and their V triggers are like custom combo kind of things, then I'm down for that. I think it would be cool.
Could be fun.
Like anything that lets people just do gassed stuff, like really impress me and like, yo, that's crazy. I like that. I want to see more of that in the game.
Having said that, now you mention it with the system in Street Fighter 5, I might actually be pro Eleanor being in the game, just because if they bring her in with the balances I'm hoping they do, we could actually watch her get battered for a few years, which would be brilliant. It would make up for all those years of terror.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I'd like to see Eleanor in the game. Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, we don't know. Hopefully, we'll find out soon which characters we can look forward to coming up this season. Everyone has their favorites. Hopefully, you guys at home are blessed with the characters that you want to play. But please, can I have Dudley? Please. Let's move on. There's been a number of amazing community events that have happened recently. We've been covering them on the show. We'll continue to cover them on the show. But there's been some incredible charity events that have happened.
Yep.
Punk did his Black Lives Matter charity stream, which is amazing. Reddit Street Fighter did an incredible charity stream as well. Shout out to the guys at Reddit Street Fighter.
Awesome guys.
Huge
amazing
props to them for all the work they've done, regardless of the charitable work. Just the regular online tournaments they've been running for years now are great. But I wanted to talk about two events specifically that have happened in the past week. The first one is Transitional Combat by a friend of ours, Amanda Stevens.
Big up Amanda.
Who put that together. We are going to hear from her right now and also take a look at some of the highlights, because it was East Coast and West Coast, a weekend of Street Fighter 5 action and charitable giving to help Trans Lifeline. Over $10,000 raised for that great cause.
Wow. Amazing
Let's
work.
hear from Amanda right now.
Hey everyone, I'm Amanda Stevens. Some of you may have heard me on The Neutral, which is my FGC talk show, or you might have seen me in the Red Bull Conquest content last year. I am a diversity consultant and interviewer in the fighting game and esports space for like the last 4 years. So I have been playing fighting. I think this is true for a lot of people. I've been playing fighting games since I was a kid. Started, with Street Fighter 2. I went to school for journalism, and when I finished school, I realized that I didn't want to work retail. And one of my friends was working for a small gaming site, and I started writing about League of Legends, and I was already following Marvel 3 Ultimate because, that scene was really cool and really dynamic. And, from there, I just became super invested in fighting games. But for a while, it was really hard to convince people to, do fighting game content, even though, we were at the peak of Street Fighter 4 Ultra. We had Marvel 3. So that's how I got into sort of the FGC content side, was I kept saying, hey, I know I'm good at this League of Legends thing, but I'm telling you, there's interesting stories over in the fighting game community. Let me do an interview. And, I just kept saying it until somebody said, sure, go to Evo, get us some interviews. Yeah, so it started to become pretty clear to me, I would say late 2018, that a lot of these outlets, while they were slightly vested in the FGC, they weren't ready to pull the trigger. And I was bored of League of Legends. I didn't really want to cover it anymore. And I knew that the only way that I could, afford to keep flying out to these FGC events is if somebody else was paying me for the content. I basically let the FGC know that if they liked the stuff I was doing, the stuff I did in 2018, at Final Round, at Evo, and, the interview I did with Problem after he won, if they wanted more of that, they were going to have to support the Patreon. So without community support, similar to, someone like Born Free, right? There's nothing else behind the curtain. It's either community support or I guess going back to a boring job.
Seen it here and there, but I do know that a lot of our Rashid tech sometimes comes out of the UAE from the birds.
That's true, and gets
so much damage.
It's been pretty good. Right now my Patreon covers all my bills. The thing that I tell a lot of people that want to get into content is that it's a grind. Maybe you get really lucky where you have one really popular video and everybody subs to your YouTube channel, or you have one good Twitch stream and it takes off. But for people like me, I've been doing this for 5 years, right? So there was a point where my Patreon was $4 a month, and now I'm a little over 1,000. So it's wild to me that 5 years later, that it's going good. The people who support me, they understand that sometimes I got to take time off to do the projects that also pay the bills, and so they get that this month I haven't done a single episode of The Neutral because I've been so busy doing things like transitional combat, working with Cloud9, and those projects eat up a lot of time and don't really leave a time for podcasts and articles.
Get in on Poison and maintain that pressure so easily. It's just from mid-screen, he's just in, and now he's dead.
The day that I tweeted out that I wanted to start doing transitional combat, I think was also the same day that the news about George Floyd had come out, and I wanted to do something positive, right? I didn't want to focus on a lot of the negative emotions I had, and so I tweeted out hey, I want to do a Trans Lifeline tournament, which is a charity that we benefited. Who would be able to help me figure this out? And sometimes you make those tweets and you get 2 people that reply. That wasn't my response. You replied, Arturo, Tia Sabin replied, I had 3 different medium-sized TOs. I had a bunch of commentators like St. Cola in the thread being I'll commentate for free. And I was well, shit, this was just an idea, but if I have this much support, let's do it. Let's figure it out.
Going for the V-trigger though, spending the V-reversal wants to continue out the pressure. That's going to be big damage. Oh, Gion keeps it going.
The first thing I decided was I wanted to get on the horn with Cloud9. All right, well, if I can have one decent sponsor for some form of a giveaway, then everything else will steamroll from there. And they were we're about it. Whatever you want from us, you got it. Then I reached out to the Matcherino folks. They said that they would make me a Matcherino partner, that they would give me $100 to the prize pool, that they would help me set up the page, they would change the cut that they would do. So I think in like, I want to say 3 days from like tweet to May 30th, that's like where everything came together. That's where I got the name figured out. I found my TO in Casa Bunch. I found Arturo Saban, you know, he offered to stream it. And so everything from there was commentators, graphics, and all of that came together very quickly. The person who makes all the graphics for the neutral, she made all of those commentator announcement cards. She made the main graphic that you saw all the giveaways on. You know, I had a friend from my League of Legends days made the announcement video that a lot of people liked. And yeah, once we had a name, we had a date, and we figured we got all the graphics done, it was just grinding out, talking to sponsors. When I reached out to Astro Headsets, they were just like, here's a headset. When I reached out to Evil Geniuses, same thing. When I reached out to Kind of Fit, Kind of Fat, you know, who partners with Sherry for eFight Pass, immediately they said sure. Like, it was as much of a grind as it was to get the project ready for the date, like to have everything by the 12th. It wasn't so much a tooth pulling project as much as just the amount of work that goes into putting together a polished event. You gotta do a whole lot to get people to care, right? Otherwise, sure, we could turn on the stream and maybe have raised $2,000-3,000, but that wasn't really the goal. I wanted to see how far we could go, and that means you put together the most polished project you can. And I think we did a pretty good job.
So, tournament point once again.
Oh no. I've seen this before. I know where this ends. This is a bad story for Ojian.
Oh, the shimmy! But not gonna be able to kill. Do we see like a reset of some kind, or no? Just cashing out the damage.
Needs one.
What's it gonna be? That's no, drops the combo.
They only need one hit. One lonely hit activation. Ojian trades
that was checkmate.
X Lightning. That is Flux Waves, folks, your grand champion.
You know, obviously I get a lot of people messaging me, hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Especially with everything that was going on. To be honest, I would say, you know, I probably would be doing way worse if I didn't have all this work to get done. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes to make a great event. And it gave me a reason to get up every morning, to sit in front of my computer, to get work done. And it allowed me to sort of disassociate from everything that was going on. Anything that I was feeling, I just channeled it into another part of the project. Because instead of just feeling like everything was falling apart around me, especially because, you know, I live in the US, I instead was able to turn it into something beautiful.
I like introducing some of the neutral jumps in that neutral. Just even if they don't land, you're just showing that you know what's coming. EX is in front, the tricky stuff.
It's really funny. So when I first started talking to Saban, he was like, Amanda, that original goal of 1,000 is too small. We're gonna blow that out of the water. 3 days after the announcement, an anonymous donor reached out and said, hey, I want to support a trans initiative. Somebody recommended your tournament. I will donation match up to $1,000. If we just like hit 800, if we just hit $900, like that's insane. And so once we hit the 1,000, I was like, wow, we hit 1,000, which means we hit 2,000. That's crazy. I believe Surmi from Maturino set the new goal at 3,600. He was like, let's get 2 days. We hit that pretty easy. And I was like, all right, this is crazy. What's next? We set it at 5K. We broke that. We hit close to $7,000 by the end of the East Coast tournament. You know, it's different when it's your event. When you're watching a charity stream and like you see that last push, you're like, oh man, that's great. As I said in my Facebook status, I like cried when I got on the mic to thank everybody because I never thought I would be able to do something that wasn't just meaningful for myself as someone who's needed that hotline, but I knew how much that was going to mean to other people who was going to need that hotline. It's less about the money for me and more about what it's going to do for other people. A lot of people didn't know what this charity was going into the event, and they still, above and beyond, just blew me and everybody else involved out of the water.
Still has the trigger activation too. There it comes. Sweet.
Counter hit on the other side. Good blocks from up. You've seen that one before.
Oh
But
no.
he will get pieced up. If you're not blocking, you are pressing buttons when it's not your turn. Mia is pulling no punches here. There's a command grab.
So I think that, I love the FGC. Like I said, it's my favorite scene. I've dedicated the last 3 years to it. On paper, the FGC is way more diverse than a lot of other competitive gaming places. A lot of our premier athletes are not white. That said, we're lacking in some regards, right? We still got the vocal minority crowd. We still have women constantly having to talk about how either Twitch chat needs to be improved or how they're treated at events needs to be improved. I think the FGC struggles just like any scene, but I think with the type of leaders we have in the scene, like Cuddlecore, like Sharpie, like Alicia over in the Soul Calibur scene, right? Initiatives like Combo Queens and, Sherry over with eFight Pass, we are doing enough to push it forward, but it's not going to be a tomorrow thing, right? We're not going to wake up tomorrow and the FGC is going to be better to women. We're not going to wake up tomorrow and the FGC is going to be better to trans folks. It's a thing that, like every other scene, you have to first acknowledge that it's a problem and want to do something about it. And from my perspective, that's why transitional combat isn't going to be a one-time thing. We're working on figuring out how to do it as a monthly, but also turning the Discord server into an empowerment vehicle so that people who feel marginalized in the FGC can learn bracketology, can learn how to commentate, can learn how to work on a broadcast, so that instead of feeling like you're not a part of the scene, one of the best ways to fix a problem is to just overwhelm it. So if I'm just making, having more queer and female commentators, well, if you don't like queer and female commentators, I guess if there's more of them, then you might just not watch the stream. My thing, especially with something like, the tournament itself, is instead of complaining about the problem, I want to be the fix. That's my way, is I'm going to try to empower a bunch of LGBT, female, POC people to make the FGC better instead of just, being mad about it.
I think the buttons are coming through. Nice little activation. Sunset wheel. Do it again. Oh no, trying to jump out.
That's the pressure. Yo, denying the V-reversal. Really calling us out, and this should be enough. Mira is on match point grand finals. Mato, hey, transitional combat. The West Side.
There it is.
One more. No, one more. Just one more decision, and the meeting to do it. Mira is your winner of transitional combat. The West Side, pulling all the way from winners, saying, I don't care about the script. Rip it up. I'm gonna take it.
The FGC gets a pretty bad rap a lot of the time. And I think this is true of a lot of gaming spaces. And I'm not going to say the FGC is Candyland, right? It's not bubblegum and rainbows and lollipops all the time. But I will say, especially when I talk to a lot of old heads, we are getting better. And like I said, it might not be at the speed people want, but we've got more people holding other people accountable. I think we're starting to leave some of that toxic arcade culture behind. I think we're starting to realize that, maybe we should treat people with human decency. It doesn't just have to always be trash talk and saltiness. And that doesn't mean that we can't be real, right? We can still have our salty bets. We can still kick the router when we're playing net play. But we do recognize that, we're in this together and we can be a lot better than some of the other scenes that talk crap about us. And we are doing better. So while, we have been a lot of doom and gloom lately, I do think that there's a lot of hope for the future of the FGC to be sort of that shining star that we tell everybody we are, right? That C in FGC, the community, it's true and it's getting better every day.
Congratulations once again to Amanda Stevens for an incredible event, Transitional Combat. It is coming back as a monthly. They'll be rotating the games. As she said as well, they're setting up a Discord server to help people breaking into the FGC business, and there'll be loads more stuff coming from that great project. Shout out to her and the podcast. The Neutral will be back very soon as well. As we move on, there was another cool event from one of my favorite places in the world, one of my favorite locations that I've ever been to for a FGC event.
Wait a sec, they're doing FGC events in Essex?
One of my favourite places that I've ever been to for an FGC event.
Set it up, mate.
Puerto Rico, the road to First Attack.
Amazing.
So obviously First Attack was meant to be in October.
Yep.
As it stands, it's not happening this year,
Yep.
you know, unless things completely clean up and they're right. But it looks like it's probably not happening this year. They've been starting to run monthly events, and they did a multi-game, basically a big full-scale tournament this past weekend, which saw a number of players get involved, not only from Puerto Rico, but also DR and Panama and various other countries around that region. Really good event.
Amazing. Yeah, these guys all have pretty decent connections with each other as well, right?
Yeah, really high-level stuff. There's some great players showed out. We spoke to Mono, of course, the famous head of the PRFGC, about the event, and also you can see some of the clips from that final top 8 with some of the players that you might not be familiar with, and a few of them you will definitely recognize. But let's get straight into this with Mono talking about Road to First Attack.
Yeah, well, my name is Ricardo Roman, but I'm known mostly as Mono. I'm organizer of First Attack Puerto Rico, and I'm also a Fang player in Street Fighter V. Recently, this week, we were doing an event that we were hosting. Obviously, First Attack is an event that a lot of people look forward to, which is in October. We usually run these monthly events that are like Road to First Attack. It's monthly event circuits that we do to keep the hype going, keep the community active. Due to the pandemic, well, we weren't able to do any of the monthlies. We had to cancel a few of them. And so we decided to move the whole circuit of the monthly events online. But being that it's online, well, we added more regions. Like we had participation from Mexico, Dominican Republic, United States, and Panama. And it was a full week. It was from Monday till Friday. Then Saturday and Sunday we had the main games have their finals. We even had games like Valorant and other types of games, but the finals for Street Fighter was yesterday. We just finished last night, Sunday.
Cava contra Strange Hell. Ese gallo. Vamos a ver con qué choto viene Strange Hell. Ya vimos a la Kuma para lidiar con un personaje como Karin. Vamos a ver si opta por eso mismo. No,
Ryu.
diciendo
Volvemos
que...
al Ryu.
Es que si él consigue los paris y los... Pero buen gratis, Strange Hell. No tiene miedo que Cava tenga todas esas barras.
Y el vamos. Ay, lo pegó.
Pero es demasiado el
vivo.
scaling.
Buen block. Y el trade.
In Puerto Rico, I mean, the community is pretty active. Like the online play, obviously, online's not the strong point here in Puerto Rico. Like, obviously, they prefer offline events mostly, but there's a lot of participation. Like the new generation, the young guns, like they call them. They've been really active. They've not only been participating. Like I keep doing weekly events. Like I'm also in a team called Red Rooster, and I do weekly events to the same thing, keep the people active. But these players got, including qualified top 8 in the Road to First Attack top 8 for Street Fighter and many other games. They have been, like AJ Martinez, they have been participating in all events online. Like they participate in Reddit on Mondays, they participate in my weekly events. So like there's hunger, that's what I can say. Like I know some players, like notable players from Puerto Rico, like Olivo, who usually posts up tech and stuff. He doesn't have the best connection right now, so this pandemic is obviously, he can't play in the online events. Like he couldn't play in the Road to First Attack because of it. So it's how do I say this? It's been a hurdle for a few players, but for some it's still pretty okay. And like AJ Martinez and Strange Hale is mostly an online player. Like I hardly even see him like go to offline events outside of First Attack. And he made top 8 and he had like an incredible set versus Kaba, who is like considered to be, if not the best guy in the world right now, next to Daigo.
Ay, muy temprano. Está tratando de leer otro Sonic Boom. Activamos.
Si te das cuenta, wow, ese punish.
I feel that the way it's with the way online events are going, I feel like it's gonna help out and encourage more players to travel, because right now the biggest hurdle right now is exposure. Like these players don't have the accessibility to travel. They're not known. So maybe they might go to one event, but not, and they won't have the chance to get that much exposure or play time with people. Like now with the online events, there's content to be seen from everywhere, like Europe, like here in Puerto Rico. Like Strange Hail, I've known him since Street Fighter like dropped, and nobody, even the local players, don't know of him as much because he doesn't go to the offline events. He's mostly online. It could be because of work, maybe other reasons, but the fact is that right now, let's say this top 8 that he just made and he did like hella noise with his set, it will encourage these type of players to be like, yeah, I should go out more, I should like try to travel out.
Ok, su Punish, Kaba parece que pensó que ya tenía su V-Trigger. Ok, activación del V-Trigger. Buen Punish. Al P-Reversa de Kaba. Listo.
Buena.
Listo también con ese antiaéreo. Kaba aprendiendo la ofensiva.
Ay, buen
V-Trigger. Él buscó eso ahorita y no lo consiguió.
I like trying to do, I'm doing some sets, like first to 10s with the local players and trying to like expose them with that. I'm glad that things like Mena winning Capcom Cup happened, and then Kaba qualifying and crossover, because they made so that more people will look at the region. They got the premiere, then people would see like how strong the region is. Aside from those 3 players, you would know that there are a lot more players with good talent. I'm really hoping that this first event actually not only provides how do I say this, like an environment for other regions to participate, because like we had DR, Mexico and Panama, but also to encourage more players from Puerto Rico like that play online and then get that courage, that confidence to be like, yo, I'm actually better than what I thought.
Mucho cuidado.
Tiene que tener cuidado porque tiene el super. Activar a V-Trigger. Eso le va a dar
tremendo antiaéreo y con eso Kaba asegura.
I mean, I'm still playing. Like, I still participate in tournaments when there are. Like, I can't participate in these one because I'm organizing it, but I participated in the Blink had an event like a few months ago, like in April. Then I've been participating. Mena's doing like some online events. I've also played in some exhibitions that the DR scene is also doing exhibitions, first to 10s with people from Puerto Rico or Panama. Like they had Doomsnake versus Picaro. They're just trying to like, so I've been keeping busy playing that. I play in the Reddit Street Fighter events on Monday when I can. But yeah, I've been practicing. I've been playing Ceph recently, and I use Ceph in tournament. I used Ceph in tournament in the Blink Esports event, and I got second. I lost to Kawa, but it's just Guile Ceph doesn't seem like it's so much better, but it's better than Fang. Like I played Fang anyways, and I made second. And the last tournament that we had, that was the Mena one, I got second as well, but I didn't pick Ceph in that one. I only used Fang. Well, I personally think that with the online CPT, that the fact that it's online now, I feel that more players are seeing this as an opportunity to get exposure. Like I said, Puerto Rico's not something that you look mostly at Puerto Rico to look for players. You know, like a few. The same happens when certain regions, like Peru, you think of Picaro. When you think of Panama, you think of Doomsnake. But this event actually helps these players like get a bit more highlight. Like right now, I see the PR scene like participating in like any online tournament they see. 1, to level up. 2, to actually get used to the whole online experience. And to be honest, they're always grinding, so I feel like they're gonna take advantage of the online CPT to play, because outside of whether qualifying or not, it's the chance to play other good players. The online structure now is gonna give the same opportunity that the regional finals were giving to the players back then. Because the regional finals for each event, like you would not technically pay too much attention to the Latin America scene or any other scene or Europe in the same sense. You would only see a selected few, but then when you would watch the regional final and you would see it when it was region locked and all that, you would see players that you were like, wow, this guy is actually, like, I've never seen this guy, he's really good. Like, you keep seeing this type of content and this type of playstyle from other regions that you didn't think was there. Well, regarding the future of First Attack for 2020, right now, with regards to the COVID, we did like an announcement like a few a month and a half ago, I think, where we said that we were paying close attention to the developments with regards to the pandemic and everything, and we would keep it in mind if the event can actually happen or not. Right now, it's looking more on the side that it might not, but we're still paying attention. We said that on July, because the Road to First Attack is a monthly thing. We said that on the Road to First Attack for July, we're actually going to have a more official announcement with regards to what's going to happen with First Attack 2020. I mean, there's also been the possibility with the success that this Road to First Attack had, there could be a possibility that we might actually turn First Attack 2020 into an online event, depending on how the whole pandemic keeps going up. Hopefully it blows over soon. But our main concern is the safety of everyone. Like, we don't want to put anything that puts anybody at risk. And like, I'm not gonna host the event if I know we're still putting people at risk with it. So if I feel that the decision is to either move it to the next year or go completely online, which is also something that I'm considering more now with our past event this week, I will definitely go for it. I'm gonna do anything that will be beneficial for the community and in the same place, like, keep everybody in good health, I guess.
As I said, one of my the absolute favorite place I've ever been for an FGC event in my long and
Listen, how does it rank versus holiday events? Not to get off FGC topics,
as in just going anywhere
in general. How does it rank for you?
Listen, I went there, spent 5 days there. I didn't eat fast food once.
Wow.
Not once. Beautiful. Didn't have to go to McDonald's.
You didn't go to McDonald's? No. Logansama didn't go to
restaurants,
McDonald's?
it was beautiful. Shout out to Walter, my family. Everybody was out there. We had an amazing time. Obviously, F-Word wasn't there.
A bit jealous, I've got to say. He hasn't let me live it down. So, yeah. Amazing. It looks like an amazing place.
It's a great community as well. Shout out to everybody in Puerto Rico putting in the work, and of course Mono and all of the First Attack team. They will continue to be putting together.
What an amazing
events.
caliber of players they got over there as well.
Yeah, some
Mono's got to be like
coming through.
top 3 Fang in the world, right? As well, just him himself, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to convince him to
switch characters.
You know, yeah, basically.
Oh.
Trying to encourage him. Yeah.
He had some crazy. Go watch Shen season 1 and watch Shen now. What's Shen now? Where would Shen be?
Look what the potential is.
If he stayed with Fang.
Just leave
and
Fang
that was actually the best version of Fang, right? Versus what we have now, which is a much improved version.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the events that obviously are transitioning to online. Yes, we know we have the community events, the weeklies that are out there, the NLBCs, the WNFs, the Salt Mines, the Reddits. You know, the consistent events that happen in there.
Loving it.
Versus community that Shen's putting on. We'll talk to Shen a little bit later about that. But some of the big events, and of course, the biggest of them all, Evo, has moved to online.
Yep. It's official, baby.
We know that it's changed format. I don't know exactly what's happening in terms of what games they're going to be involved. So I know the lineup's changed, but they have transitioned to entirely online.
Yep.
To deliver. I know CEO are looking at giving us an online experience as well. What do you think about that, of these big brand events giving us something? I mean, even going back, Combo Breaker didn't do an online tournament, but they pivoted into like an online restream and retrospective of the events gone by and celebrated the history.
Which was really cool, actually.
Yes. What do you think about
it? Look, I said the same thing when the CPT was announced, and I'll say it again. We have desperately missed this exposure to the most high-level play, even if it's regionalized for the sake of it being online. I'm grateful to every organization that's taken the time and effort to put these things together and to put these players in environments where there's something on the line, right? It's not the same as Capcom Cup, where eventually we hope to see an eventual in-person setting, but it's still going to be high-stakes tournament. And it's a real good test for us and for Capcom and for investors outside to understand what the potential is for this kind of game online, because I still think this is one of the most, maybe the most digestible esport on the eye, and to get it in an online environment just creates all sorts of possibilities. If we can get that netcode up to its most optimal off the back of this, with things like Evo and CEO Online, the sky's the limit. So I'm all for it. I think we have to do something in this situation. We can't sit on our asses and just let the time go by.
Yeah, I feel like if these things are successful and they do have a good pickup, that there's no reason that they need to go once we get back to doing offline events.
Exactly.
And you did make a really good point. There's a big difference, and this kind of brings us back to the players gatekeeping and re-entering events and what have you. There's a big difference between entering your weekly, which if you lose, then it doesn't matter. I can play again next week and see how I do, and it's like an ongoing progress. But these big one-off events, it's the only way to reproduce that pressure of performance on the day.
Yeah.
We saw the big difference that the CPT Online made to the results that we had seen at NLBC. It had been the Knuckle Do and IDOM show. CPT comes round and grand finals are there, and it's two names that we certainly were not expecting to see in those grand finals. And having these big events is good because it gives the players
it's brilliant.
Something to focus on, to play under the real pressure situations.
Exactly.
And yes, hopefully going forward, as the technology improves and we have access to greater connections, even cross-regional connections, because I know that is possible.
That would be a dream.
Using some of the code that's out there at the moment. If the publishers and specifically Capcom see the value in having these high-level online events, invest more in that and turn it into something that is, as exciting and valued as some of these exhibition events that we're having now. So
I mean, we've seen big events in the world of esports where kids are walking away with millions or towards $2 million off the back of an online performance, right? I'd love to see something similar. Look, a lot of people, I know it's not great for the players. They're really scared to have these situations, but it doesn't have to be an official Capcom event. We had tons of events last year and the year before that me and you even covered out of the blue, where there was good money on the line, and it was just an organization that just agreed with Capcom that we want to do this cool event. Why can't they still do that, but in an online setting? Let's give these players something to really fight for. So I hope it goes well. I'm looking to be part of it as well, wherever I can be. And hopefully off the back of this, we'll still have our offline events, but we have a real purpose and reason to improve the online environment and continue to nurture that scene too.
I agree. It's nothing but positive. Speaking of events coming up, let's move forwards and look towards this weekend. Southeast Asia.
Every week, baby. Something juicy.
You're right. It's almost literally every weekend.
It's so good. It's so good.
And now we focus our attention on the Southeast Asia 1 CPT event. Let's speak to the real favorite. The not only a favorite in terms of performance, but a real community favorite.
Oh, I'm a big fan of this guy. I know who you're going to say.
We spoke to Cien ahead of the event. We're going to talk to him about the CPT, of course, but also some of the work that he's been doing for the community in Singapore and beyond in Southeast Asia, how he's been bringing through some of the younger players, and his thoughts just in general about Street Fighter 5 at the moment. So check this out. We'll be back on the other side with some of our predictions for this weekend's event.
I think for CPT Online, the biggest difference is the connection issue. Our region is actually really not so bad, compared to other regions. At most of the situations, I would say that we do get to play similar to offline. I do think Street Fighter 5 is one of the best games to, play online compared to the previous Street Fighter, because of the rollback. It doesn't feel like a different game when you're playing online. When you actually play other games like Street Fighter 4, even Grand Blue, the combos are kind of tight, so it feels like a different game. Okay, so that was ever since I was sponsored by Singtel, which is one of the best local telecom company. So I actually do run community events, and I give out prize money. I used to give out air tickets, like every month for young players to travel overseas with me. But since it's not really possible right now, I just give out prize money every week. And then we get people now is playing online because it's COVID. And then just to get the competition drive up. And a lot of people actually, I felt, gotten better because of this, because there's something to look forward to. Because you don't want to play a game that has no tournaments for 3 to 6 months. Like, people's interest, the competitive players the interest kind of dies out. So what I'm trying to do is to drive up the competitive spirit, and I think it's working out really well. and it's causing me a lot of trouble for the next CBT Online next week. I think a lot of people didn't realize was COVID actually leveled a lot of people because most people stay at home, right? And they play a lot more, you know. So that is definitely gonna be one of the toughest competition that I'm gonna face. I have a team behind me, which is the Beast team, you know, helping me out as well. I just have to do a commentary and playing. So it's really not as bad, you know, I'm quite used to this. I think it depends on the long-term goal you are looking for or the short-term. Of course, like right now, it's not beneficial for me because the short-term goal is they all became better and they became my opponent, right? But think about that in the long term. These players got better, and if they are willing to practice with me, you know, I get a lot of good training partners, and then in the future, I will just keep getting stronger, you know. So it's a situation where you need to really negate the starting effect of this, you know. You really need to look a little bit further, you know, to see what you want to achieve. I'm actually playing Ibuki and Seth. Originally, I already planned to have 2 characters, which is Fang and Ibuki, but after Seth is out, I kind of find out that I spend a lot of time playing it, and I think he's very strong as well, so I decided to go with these 2 characters. I think the really perfect design of Seth is, I think he deals with the top tiers, like the strong characters really well. I think there's matchups that he does struggle in, which makes it kind of complicated to put him in top 5, because the matchup he struggles in is not the top tier characters. It's the mid or mid-high characters. I think I wouldn't say struggle, like maybe a tougher match. E-Honda, you know, Birdie, you know, those kind of more mid-tier kind of character. His tools is kind of designed to fight the top tiers. That's how I felt. He has a lot of tools to deal with the top tiers. Of course, the top tier still is very strong, you know, anyone still can win, of course, but he does have good answers to the current meta, which is the top characters, which is why I feel that a lot of people is picking up him as a secondary character. I think the ability to go through Fireball, the V skill 1 to negate the neutral, the dive kick, which strong characters usually has a good anti-air and stuff, you know, and a very powerful V trigger 1, and the V trigger 2, you know, gets you into a mix-up. So if it doesn't want to do the mix-up, they have to re-reverse it so they don't get the V trigger. And as well has very long range buttons. His sweep does like further than any other character, I think. We don't have problem with character that can deal a lot of big damage from the normals. A lot of the EX move that just go past neutral, you know, besides dive kick. So that makes it pretty good, I think. I think she has been changed quite a lot. I think she has been kind of nerfed again compared to the whole cast of the top tier. I think she got hit one of the most. Like he has two nerfs. Basically, one was the season 5 and season 5.1. The 5.1 nerfs was the V skill 2 was being nerfed, you know, and of course the season 5 nerf is V trigger being -4. You know, you have to hit confirm it. I think the biggest nerf for me, I personally felt, is jump EX kunai, back throw. You know, that is the few adding on to a lot of the characters that she has a hard time, has a health and stun buff, because she mainly get in like a ninja, right? She want to stun the opponent, but all these characters adding health and stun makes it more difficult. And V skill 1 is an absolutely huge nerf. I don't think anyone will disagree to that, because V skill 1 used to be the most complained move in the century, right? I mean, like it negates the neutral. You avoid your opponent's attack, you hit it, you V trigger, you go for a mix up, something really strong, and it was being taken away. But then they didn't really give anything back to her. Like she didn't get anything back. She got nerfed back throw, EX kunai, V trigger 2, you know, and no health and stun buff for most of the cast has. You know, so it's all nerfs. There's no buffs at all. She's still good though. She's still strong. I mean, so the problem with the top tiers is actually that among since season 2 until 5, what I really think is they are so strong that despite not giving back anything, they are still actually playable or robbable, I would say. Akuma is still one of the best character. It's not even top 5. It's the debate for top 3, you know. So, and he always gets something back for the nerfs, you know. While I think Ibuki is the character that doesn't really get anything back. He just get all nerfs only. They always give something back to Akuma, even if they actually nerf it. I don't ever think Akuma is weak in a game before. I really hope they actually have a season where they completely nerf the top tier and make Alex, Fang, you know, like Nash, like just make it super obvious, even in the patch notes, you know, like immediately you can tell that, okay, it's over, like Alex, Fang, you know, like I want to see like a complete change, not a minor change, you know, like a complete change is something I'm looking forward to see. Okay, so I just have to judge by the Versus Weekly result we can know. So in Singapore, we have Brandon, SKZ, me, Oswald. Oswald is also the only warlord in Southeast Asia. He's a Laura player. He's extremely consistent, you know. So these are the 4, and Leslie as well, the Sagat player, which is always good, you know. And then Thailand, we have Bells and Jin Koyuki, MyRPG. You know, these are the notable ones that are able to win. I mean, let's talk about those that has joined and are able to win, you know. And Philippine players, some of them has not been joining. Philippines has actually a lot of good players as well. They didn't want to join but I really want to give credit to Philippines for doing something that I think no one in the world has done that. So some of the good players actually joined my event, and when they realized it was one bar, they actually DQ themselves. Like there's no evidence to say it's your connection or my connection is laggy, but they DQ themselves whenever they join if they see like 1 bar, 2 bar, because the distance is not great, right? And their internet is not that great. So I feel really a lot of respect, you know, for what they did. I think if everybody would set a prime example for that, online will be perfect. It's actually something life-changing, you know, because everybody, I'm not someone who used to staying home. I almost go out every 1 or 2 days, you know, even to eat or something, to meet my friends. So this is quite a big change for me. I actually stopped going to the office to stream. I've been streaming a lot more because of this as well, and just basically practicing. I think there's a lot of mental stress, you know, for players, just because of not traveling and having to compete in the CPT online, especially for pro players. Like, think about that. Like, sponsor players used to have 10, 15 premiums to actually have a shot, right? And now everybody is down to 2, like each region, you know. So the amount of pressure is more intense, depending on the region. If you're actually from the Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, Korea, it's super difficult, but there's no pressure because you're not really expected to win or fulfill any obligations. But if you are from the Middle East or Europe, let's say you're from Middle East Europe, you have Big Bird, Angry Bird, and Phantom. So people expected 2 or like 1, 3 of them to get in, right? So there's expectation, there's actually more pressure. I think that's the same for Southeast Asia. I think people have expectations, so I'm practicing very hard, and I hope I can fulfill up to it. This weekend, my confidence is definitely not as high as previously. You know, I've been practicing a lot, and I have another character right now as well. I would say that it will all be up to the brackets. Because we run Versus Weekly, I actually know that we always have a different winner. You know, so I know this is not gonna be like the Middle East region. I feel that the Middle East and the Europe region, one thing about it is the gap between Phantom, Angry Bird, and Big Bird and the rest of them is very huge. Like, there is a big gap between them. Like, no matter how many bar connection you're talking about, like, it will always be the 3 rising up, most probably. But I think in SEA, if you watch Versus Weekly for the last 4 months, it's almost been a different winner every week. this is a disaster. Yeah, for me. So I'm not sure, but I hope I will be the one, and we will see how it actually runs out. I would definitely say when it comes to Young, it has to be bravery. And if you want to watch some crazy Cammy actions, my student Bravery, if people heard about him, yep, he's very bravery. He just won the versus Weekly last week as well. And then another one I will add in is Oswald, you know, that's for sure, and Brandon. I think these are the top players in Leslie is this is a few add I want to add, but maybe Oswald will be the least traveled one. He's a warlord with a Laura, and I think in C region to get warlord is super difficult because our rank match kind of takes forever, and it's not very easy to get warlord in our region. That's why there's only one warlord. Even I couldn't get warlord. It's just two leader players, you know. So I think Oswald will be one very scary guy out there.
Sien there, of course, he has to be the overwhelming favourite. And is that going to be a lot of pressure for him? Because, you know, he's so much more well-known and so much more focused on in that region than pretty much anyone else.
Can I answer that question quite bluntly?
Go ahead.
No.
No,
because first and foremost, he's always exposing himself to the online environment. He's very good in that environment as well. He's got a great history in the online CPTs. Also, he plays in a region where the netcode's pretty a bit more reliable, I'd say, from what they experience over there.
Yeah.
And lastly, if you want to talk about Shen under pressure, you and me were covering his story last year, and this guy was in serious doubt of qualifying at the very last two events, and then he turned up at Southeast Asian Major and made that run to qualify. That's pressure. This, I think he's going to.
I mean, even if you remember his performance at Capcom Cup 2018, when he'd really kind of gone under the radar the whole year, and then all of a sudden, that V-Trigger 2 was doing the Lord's work.
There you go, man. There you go.
Carrying all the way
through. Go, yeah. He's got himself a Pocket Seth now as well. A few other characters I've seen him playing. And honestly, Ibuki's, I don't know why no one's still talking about her. I know she took a bit of a nerf, but fundamentally she's the same character.
Well, Shine said last week that, you know, if you're a good player, you can get around the -4
really
activation. Matter, you know, just don't do it on block. It's not a thing that you can just throw out and be plus at any point.
I mean,
you know,
she can hit confirm
patient.
it. It's actually a really good thing that she can, so she doesn't have to commit. And in general, her general game is like you need to be a bit more accurate with your spacing. You get punished now for the misplaced EX kunais. Cool. High-level players don't really misplace their EX kunais. So guys like Shen aren't going to be significantly impacted by the changes to Ibuki. I think she's still a very strong character, easily top 10, arguably top 5, and he's in the top 2 best versions of her in the world. So I don't see any of those guys. And also another thing that plays in his favor in this, if we talk about the potential threats to him in that region, right? The characters they play aren't necessarily big problems for Ibuki. If there was like a random, really strong Abigail or really strong Zangief in that territory, then maybe something could happen to Shen. But honestly, as much as I want to see more controversy and drama, I only see Shen.
Well, let's talk about the players that he will generally be looking to face. I mean,
and there's good players there, great players. Yeah.
I mean, he's got Chuan is the main player that you'd be looking at.
Yep.
Guile, probably the second most successful player in the region. Been active in Pro Tours.
Yeah, had great runs with the best players in the world in attendance as well. I think 17th in 2018 at Southeast Asian. I can't remember anything other than that, but he's always there or there. No, I think he was 9th actually in 2018.
Okay.
So he's always there or thereabouts, John. Very strong player. But then when you look at Shen's exposure in that matchup, that's where you start seeing the challenge, the uphill battle he has. Now, he can beat Shen. I've seen him beat him before, but when it's all on the line, Shen's just so good.
I mean, you've got players like Leslie using Sagat, which...
Okay, so we don't have Leslie then. All right, sweet. So, and moving on. No, check out. Leslie's amazing. Is he actually playing Sagat exclusively?
Well, not exclusively, but he's main in Sagat.
Okay.
Players, we spoke to Brandon, who's talented Goki Akuma player.
Brandon's awesome, yeah.
You've got KOF Master, the Manat player.
Yeah, very, very technical guy.
Some of the players from Thailand, like Mind RPG, who plays Bison and a bit of Kage.
Yep.
There's a player whose name I can't pronounce properly, Jin Kuyu, I think it was, plays Cammy, also from Thailand.
Cammy, Bravery.
Bravery, he's like
that's the guy to look out for.
He's like Xien's student. Though,
yeah.
Right. So will the student be able to test the master? That would be a very interesting discussion.
In a match that I think Ibuki fights really well. I don't think she necessarily wins the match, but she fights really well. Again, not really a hurdle for.
But like you said, there's not the big body grappler archetypes that make it hard for Ibuki.
Yeah, I'm not saying she necessarily loses to those characters. I'm just saying you can't play your standard Ibuki game against those guys, and that doesn't exist in the region at that level. So I feel like Xian, not only is he the strongest player, but also the character he plays is not vulnerable.
We've had 2 CPT events so far, and they have both been very explosive. One of them went kind of how we expected to.
Yep.
But was still an explosive.
I mean, we were good. We made our predictions accurately in that one.
The other event, obviously, definitely threw us off.
We did well for the top 8. We called a lot of the top 8 guys.
So who knows what will happen this weekend? Xian is the heavy favourite. You'll be able to catch all of the action, of course, this weekend on Capcom Fighters. We'll be back for round 1. The pre-game show where we take a closer look and speak to some of the players in the region about their chances and how they feel they'll get on, how they do, and just to teach you a little bit more about the Southeast Asia region, which is obviously not getting as much attention as Japan's and Korea's, but still a region that has very talented players and great communities. So that will be us on Saturday. But of course, coming up later tonight at the top of the hour, we have got Alex Myers and Vicious turning the beat back. More content for you to enjoy.
Big up those guys, man.
Not sure what event they're going to be looking at, but I know it is going to be helping you guys learn some of the lore behind the history of competitive Street Fighter 5, where some of these rivalries have come from, where some of the memes that are out there in the world come from. So watch that. It's a great hangout show. But that is it from us.
I've got to think, it says here, predictions, Logansama and F-Word for this weekend.
Did we not just...
Is it that foregone conclusion? I guess.
Go on, give me your prediction then.
Look, it's a really hard one to call, Logan. Right, I've got to think this through, mate. I'm going to go with Xian, yeah?
Thanks for that, F-Word. That was invaluable input, as always.
Hey.
I appreciate you being on the show.
This is what I do, mate. This is what I do, yeah?
Exactly. I can't believe
picking up the slack here, picking up the slack, mate.
That's it from us tonight. Thank you very much. Take care. Shout out to everybody at Capcom. Big up the visual platform and 10-0 EU team for putting this beautiful show together. We'll be back same time next week, but catch us on the pre-game show, round 1, Saturday on Capcom Fighters channel. If you're not following, make sure you're following so you get the notification as and when the CPT action goes live. Take care, be safe, and we'll see you real soon.